screen. I hit play here for the brain cell breaks. It's the Big Bad Caffeinated Podcast. Millennial dad with a mic and a laugh. I'm like your heroes while I load the dishwasher. Candace Owens Destiny, go touch grass. It's the Big Bad mug in my hand and I'm wired all night.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Big Bad Caffeinated Podcast. I am your host, the Big Bad Caffeinated Dad, and we are once again getting back into the Candace Owens versus Owen Wilson debate. Really much hype. So excited for this one here. We didn't quite get to finish it off the other night, so we are back again for part two. And this is the part that I'm really excited to get into because this is the part where Andrew Wilson actually has the opportunity to push back on some of Candace Owens' claims. So she's made a lot of announcements, a lot of claims, a lot of breakthroughs in this case in her little private investigation that, well, I should say, public investigation that she's doing into the murder of Charlie Kirk. And but a lot of it, she hasn't really been able to answer much questions or get much pushback on that, where she's actually answered for some of these claims that she said on her show. And so this is the whole point. This is what I think really that Andrew was trying to push with. This is why he paid all this money, was to try and get Candace to come forward to a show and actually have to answer for her claims. So this was, really what I was really excited to see. And, so without further ado, we're just going to get into the show. We'll pick back up pretty much exactly where we left off, a few nights ago. This would be really good. Let's just get into it. Here we go.
Looking at the evidence, which never made sense to me, again, because all of the evidence that you felt to be overwhelming was hearsay. That was bizarre to me.
You told me that I could take as much time as I wanted to question
No, but I'm just asking you just to lay the groundwork of what you're saying is
because
problematic,
that
you
you
decide that it trips into something else. And I do still want to hold you for going through, because we've discussed the gun, we've discussed your...
and you can hold me to those things, but I would like to get into the things that you've said.
We should discuss the screwdriver as well.
So, and I'll explain exactly what the groundwork is. When you make claims which pass the idea of I'm just asking questions because the state's evidence is not convincing, I think you have to answer for those claims because they are in regards to this case. You're saying, I have a claim. It is in regards to the assassination of Charlie Kirk, which is what we're talking about. Not just the case of Charlie Kirk, is assassination. You should have to answer for the claims that you've made in regards to the assassination itself. You should. Yeah, agreed. So if that's the case, then I would like to finally dive into some of that evidence and dive into it.
Well, just to be clear, and I'm happy to have you talk about, like I said, publicly, you want to engage in some conspiracies, but I said I want to make sure that we get to the substance of our debate. The substance of our debate
is the major substance.
Me demonstrating that all of the quote unquote evidence that you feel that you have, which demonstrates that Tyler Robinson shot Charlie Kirk.
You don't find convincing. I get it.
It's been invalidated by the testimony that we saw, and in your answer for when I explained to you that he had the most degraded prints was, I don't know. Okay, well there lies my ability to process that.
It's just fine for you to not be convinced up to this point. All of your viewers, everybody watching, nobody's
you're conceding.
Nobody's giving a dispute that if all your claims ever were just up to now, the evidence that the state's given, I'm just kind of not convinced. That is not what's been happening. What's actually been happening is that you've made tons of claims in regards to this case and in regards to the Kirk assassination, which are far above and beyond, I just doubt, the state's theory.
Yeah, you just look at the comments on some of her videos, some of the statements made by Candace Owens fans. Aside from the things that she's actually said, she's putting forward these theories and people are believing her, and she's not really backing them up with any evidence. She just admitted she hasn't presented anything, so it's all fine and dandy for her to have questions about the investigation. Once again, and this is one of my big gripe here, is she's saying, why haven't they released this, why isn't this out? And it's because we haven't got to trial. Okay, and this is it comes across as well poisoning at a certain point, because you're not answering, you're saying, we should know this, we should know. When is that true in any murder investigation, that you have all the evidence presented to you, to the public, before they've even gone to trial? It's just insane. But anyway, let's continue.
Okay, yeah, I mean, sure.
I
do doubt the state's theory. I also am welcome to say what I think. If you want to move into opinions, if you want to talk about Erica Kirk, if you want to talk about Turning Point USA,
I'd like to talk about all
and
of
get
it.
into it, I'm totally happy to do that. But I just want to say that I do not feel, because I've said what's important to me is that we exhaust this topic first of our actual debate claims. I do not feel that you sufficiently have argued that the evidence is overwhelming.
Sorry,
question for you.
But I am sorry you feel that way.
Candace, one question. What evidence do you need to see for you to say Tyler Robinson killed Charlie Kirk?
That's a great question. So I actually expected in this preliminary hearing, the inverse of what he was saying is true, right? So this is now the time the state is putting on their evidence. That's the purpose of this hearing, right? The state is using hearsay, but they're also putting on their evidence. So I was just expecting some sort of a slam dunk. Like, we got him on camera taking the shot. At least we have him clear on camera. You're telling me this guy drove 13 hours all around. Like, we can definitely show you a picture that it's going to be beyond a reasonable doubt before we even get to the trial. People are going to see.
So she, to be clear, she's now saying that they should, in the pre-trial, present the evidence beyond a reasonable doubt at the pre-trial. Okay, well, if that was true, why would they have need of a jury trial if they present even? It's like, this is not how it works, and she's not. I don't think she's actually this stupid. Like, she knows full well that's not how it works. And but she's presenting here, and like, lawyers have come out and said this is not how it works. She's just making things up now. But anyway, so here we go. We're going to continue. She's saying that she expects evidence beyond a reasonable doubt. When everybody has been saying for all the way through this that they are just presenting the evidence to say, we have enough evidence to proceed to a trial. There we're going to release the full evidence. So, like,
seeing, oh crap, like, it was really Tyler Robinson. I was expecting to at least see evidence that, because I had reported early on that the source was saying that Tyler did not step foot on campus that day. It is my perspective that he had something to do with something. I do believe he was disposing clothes at this stage, at this phase. I do believe he was disposing clothes. He was involved.
Why would he be disposing clothes? Like, explain that. Explain that. You say he's involved. Okay. Explain, how is he involved? Oh, I don't know. He was doing something. He was doing something. But at the same time, I'm telling my audience that he's an innocent man and we're going to free an innocent man from death row. Like, explain that, how he was involved, but he's also innocent, Candace.
Involved somehow. I find Lance to be more suspicious, if I'm being honest with you. And also, like I said, the use immunity that was given to Lance by the feds, the fact that the feds didn't ask him any questions, the fact that I spoke with Lance Twiggs' family, and they were like, it's very weird that the feds are not asking him more questions. He's exactly the person that I would imagine to be involved in some stuff. Allegedly, I'll say allegedly. But when we got to the preliminary hearing, there was not a single piece of evidence that I felt was slam dunk. I was waiting for that, a photo. I mean, anything would have made me go, all right, I think this could be the guy. If they had handed over the discovery on the text messages, since that was their big, ta-da, we've got the text messages, that would be the first thing that I would hand over. But actually, who was holding them up? Like I said, it wasn't the prosecution. They're right to say we were handing things over, and we heard the defense argue on behalf of the prosecution saying it's not them and it's not the SBI, it's the FBI that's holding on to things. Because the FBI took everything. The FBI took the gun, the FBI took initially the screwdriver. And then when I heard testimony about the things that they found that were suspicious, example being the backpack, that's something that really bothers me, that they say they traced the shooter, they traced the route that he went on, and then there was an abandoned, we know it looks like he's wearing some sort of a backpack. We know that there was an abandoned backpack found at the bus stop in front of a library, and they felt that this should be taken into evidence. They took it. The FBI, this was the testimony of Amanda Baker, I believe her last name is, but you might want to fact check that because I think I'm blending last names. She was the forensics for the FBI. And then she says she gets a call on the 13th and they stop testing on this backpack because they find that the backpack actually belongs to somebody on Charlie's team.
Okay, so they investigated this particular backpack. Hey, it could be a different backpack. I don't know if you know this, but more than one person has a backpack in the world. And it's more reasonable that at a university, lots of people would have backpacks. So they did investigate the backpack. They found it wasn't belonging to the shooter, and they gave it back to the person it belonged to. That's suspicious to Candace. She can't present any evidence that it is anything other than that happened.
If you know the map of the layout of the campus, you're going, well, what the hell are they doing all the way up? This is nowhere near anywhere. And by the way, that's not an acceptable answer for why you just gave it back. That's not, like, why would you give it back? You're acting like no one's ever been killed by somebody on their team before, right? So I found that to be very strange that it was on the exact route that the alleged gunman ran, and that their excuse was, we just gave it back because we heard that this belonged to somebody on Charlie's team. So that to me is, this is why
she's got evidence that it was on the exact route that the gunman ran. Have you presented this guy? I've never heard her present a single piece of evidence about the backpack. So if you disagree with that and you can put something in the comments, I'm more than happy to take a look at it. We did on her podcast for the last 11 months or whatever, as she presented the evidence for the backpack.
The investigation itself feels underwhelming. When you learn, and this is underwhelming, completely crazy to me, that some of the artifacts that Charlie was wearing were immediately returned to Erica. That's absurd. That is absurd. Everything should be in evidence. When you learn that the car that they carried Charlie in to go to the hospital, they had immediately towed, cleaned, and back up for resale, that's absurd. That should be sitting in evidence.
Okay, so a car that wasn't part of the crime scene, that was used to transport the victim to the hospital, that should be, which apparently must have been a rental car, that should be seized as well. Okay.
Officers that you speak to will say, or
why stop there? Why not? His body was then taken to a hospital. Why not seize the entire hospital? That should be locked down. That should be evidence in perpetuity until we get to the trial. That's according to Candace Owens. That would make sense. The gurney, everything.
Person that's been involved in a crime will say, I didn't get my stuff back for years. That had nothing to do with anything. It was just around. And they kept it into evidence until the trial was over and it has to be approved. I think somebody said by the...
And by the way, even if that was done, I don't think she brings this up anywhere in this here, but even if that was done, she would still say it was suspicious. My evidence for that is she says, hey, that they paved over the whole crime scene. That it was really suspicious they paved over the whole crime scene. I'm like, that is strange. And so I looked into it. Now, it turns out that's actually standard procedure in America when you have a shooting situation like this, like in a public assassination, that the FBI does go up and they actually take sample. They dig up the whole crime scene. They take the whole crime scene, all the dirt. So they're like any bodily fluids, like that type of thing, blood samples, all that. They take it with them and take it away. And she's also mixing up two different things here and saying is the one thing. So yes, that happened. The FBI came and uplifted all the dirt and took it away, so they had all the evidence there in the area where the crime scene happened. Then the university, or I think it might actually have been the governor of the state who visited the university, didn't want this a distressing scene for the students, which is a little bit understandable under the circumstances. And so he arranged for a landscaper to put some pavers down to, so that, there was an area that they could hold a memorial, but it wasn't so triggering for the students there, which is understandable. Those two things. So the investigation was done, procedure was followed, and Candace has no evidence, but she has stated time and time again in her podcast that this is evidence that they were covering things up, that the FBI were covering up the murder investigation. So even when procedure is followed, Candace will present this as suspicious and a cover-up. So it really doesn't matter.
The Attorney General has to sign off on giving you those objects back. And we were told this is all fine. And we see, this is just one example, Erica holding the crucifix. That should be an evidence. Irrespective of if you feel bad for her, I think she should have it and it's sweet. That should be an evidence. Immediately paving over the crime scene. This is like the craziest thing ever. It defies common sense. You immediately, and when you heard the guy who did it, actually go up on a podcast and explain, I got the call. They said it was a paver emergency.
This would be the landscaper. A paver, yes. So it would be understandable under the circumstance that somebody might contact a landscaper and say, we have a paving emergency, as in, this is an emergency. We really want to, make this, tidy this up for the students who have to return to their studies. We don't want it looking like a crime scene. Like we understand it was, we can do a memorial there or whatever. So yeah, that's completely reasonable. But no, it's a cover up according to Candace.
Never in my entire career heard of a paver emergency. They had already had someone come up and dig up the dirt. So by the time he got there on Sunday, the dirt had already been dug up for him to lay down pavers. That is what people are looking at and going, this is weird. There needs to be answers for why this was done. And he tells us the call came from the feds and the governor's office. UVUs washed their hands of it. And what he's saying sounds true because we heard during the testimony, one person described the regions of who was in control of everything. Mm-hmm. The feds were in control of the courtyard. So in order for anybody to have paved anything, that was federal territory, so to speak. I'm maybe not using that in the best cop term, but the feds were in control of the courtyard. So,
but she just said it was the feds and the governor's office. So therefore, once again, two different events that she's presenting as one thing as a cover-up.
These are things that I think should be answered for. Why are we doing things differently than you would in any other criminal scenario of keeping the evidence until we know more, until we're confident, the various decoys. I did it. It just doesn't look right.
Okay, so go back to the question. So what would you need to see for you to say?
Something, if they had, I was expecting, here we have him, he took the shot, here it is. And then I'd be like, great, a clear image of him on the staircase where I'm like, that's definitively Tyler Robinson and he was on campus. We got nothing. We got literally nothing but hearsay of people saying.
But you basically get no case.
What?
You basically no case on planet Earth. You get the,
sure.
Oh, we got a picture.
Okay,
Here's him with the murder weapon. Right. Here's him taking the shot.
Most of this doesn't take place on a college campus that has surveillance everywhere.
Yeah.
One clear image of his
But I don't understand when you're
his
asked,
car plates.
If you're asked the question, what would it take to convince? It'd be the same question be asked to me. Andrew, what would it take to convince you that the oppositional is true,
patsy,
right? That he's a patsy or something like that. Just good, clear, concise evidence that's been presented, right? And is being presented that I could go through and link all together to see if there's actually some clear picture of there being a patsy. That's what it would take for me.
Okay.
Just
I don't disagree with that. We haven't heard the defense
just
respond.
a good evidentiary standard. And then, of course, I would change my mind.
So we haven't heard the defense response. So it's okay for the defense not to presented their response. But it's very suspicious if the prosecution hasn't presented everything in a pre-trial.
So just to qualify this, so there is a possibility in the next few months that you may come out and say, guys, it's done, title killed it. Yeah. So you're saying yesterday.
Yeah.
I think it's very important for the audience.
She said before, 0% chance. 0% is it possible that she could be convinced? Now she's changing her stance.
Without question.
For you, is there anything that you could see for you to say, yeah, this guy was a patsy?
Of course, I'm going to always follow evidence.
Perfect.
So my whole thing is just this. It's really important to me. I don't mind people being truth seekers and justice searchers, and the internet has helped solve tons of crimes. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that, right? However, there's also people who, they not only don't solve crimes, but they just come up with conjecture and what's called flooding the zone. You flood the zone with tons and tons of conspiracy-based ideas and they go nowhere, right? And in fact, they actually take away from legitimate investigation. Now, I'm not even saying anybody here is purposely flooding the zone. That's not even the claim. All I'm saying is that the claims made absent, this is just me not being convinced by the state's evidence. Those become claims, and claims have to be defended.
Yes, absolutely.
Just like mine have to be defended, yours have to be defended. And that's what we're going to get to now, yeah?
You want to get into it? Would you guys like to take an ad break?
We'll take an ad break.
And then we'll talk Erica Kirk and TPUSA.
And the conspiracies that have been conjectured by Candace Owens in regards to this case in Charlie Kirk assassination.
Folks, we'll take a 3.5-minute break, and we'll be back soon.
All right, you guys, you have probably seen all the buzz around.
Here we go. And so launching right, I do like that
and
at the very least that Patrick David copied over her ads with his own ads. There we go. At least, and he always says it was like 3 minutes. I think every time it was more like 10 minutes. So anyway, we're going to jump ahead to where they come back for this here. Oh, so it must be very soon. They're coming back. We'll be right back. Business conference for entrepreneurs. And I just love, I've got, I can't even remember this idiot's name. It's blanking on me. But anyway, yeah, so I don't know that I would want Jake Paul. I don't know that I'd want business advice from Jake Paul, frankly. Like Patrick David, some of the other guys might be great. Just because Jake Paul makes a lot of money does not mean that he's got any good business sense. Here we go. And we're going back.
Issues you want to talk about. Is it fair to say you're good defending your position of the overwhelming evidence?
Yeah.
Okay, beautiful. You take the lead. Go for it.
Yeah, so I have a bunch of questions for you, and I want to make it super painless, right? So no traps, no gotchas. I'm just going to ask them direct, and I think that as long as they're not loaded, if they're loaded, you should not respond yes or no, but as long as they're not loaded, if I just directly ask them, I'm hoping that you'll just give me a direct answer. So here's the questions that I have.
Wait, before we get into that, I would like to just reply to that. Mm-hmm. So just to be clear, we agreed to debate our claims, and then I agreed publicly that I have no issues having a conversation with you about other things that I've discussed that were outside of the court hearing and things like other evidence that's come across our lab.
Everything you've been doing for the last 10 months.
I just do want to make it clear to viewers that for whatever reason, you think that you have a right to sort of depose me.
I'm not deposing you. I just want to ask you some questions.
You literally said that I want to be able to question you.
This is a meta conversation.
Right, but okay, so now we're transcending. Like, let's use a word to use a word.
So basically what Candace is, she's trying to shift the goalposts here. She's saying that she should be able to say whatever she wants on her podcast. She should be able to defame anybody because it's her opinion. That's her claim, and she should not face any pushback ever by anybody. Even if they pay $300,000, she's now whinging about this. She's being paid $300,000 to do this. She's doing her own ads. It's being put out on her own podcast. Everything's being catered to her, and she's still complaining about this. Like, I can't believe that you come here to question me.
That you're saying.
Like, if this was a genuine investigation, if she really was seeking the truth, she would have no problem backing up her claims. She was like, yes, here we go. But as you can see, right off the bat, she has a real issue with anybody questioning her claims. Why is that? I would like to know why she has such a problem. And the fallback for her always is, I have the right to my opinion. Yeah, you do. But when you're claiming that, which she has done many times, somebody in people at TPUSA have to be involved in this. Erica Kirk, Charlie Kirk's wife was involved in this. She had to be involved in this. Then I think, you actually should you should be able to back up those claims. Like, if you're going to take a shot at a grieving widow, you shouldn't miss, and you should have some good evidence to back yourselves up. But we're going to find out she really doesn't.
But this is what you're doing, right?
Okay.
So this part to me feels like a bit of
am I allowed to ask the questions?
I've already said you can ask questions, but I made it very clear to you via email and with you in conversation that we should be speaking. This isn't like you get to sit. I want to ask you. If you wanted to pose me, you should join Brigitte Macron's defense team. But you're like, I'm just going to ask questions. Can you answer it?
This is ridiculous. You should join Brigitte Macron's defense team. So basically, you have to sue Candace in order for her to answer for any of the claims that she's made. By the way, just going back to, just on a side note, the Brigitte Macron case, she told Tucker Carlson that, I welcome this lawsuit because I want discovery. I'm gonna see this through all the way through. And even Tucker was like, that's wild. I've never seen that before. And she's like, no, I want this. She's filed to have the case dismissed at least 3 times. And each time on that, it's not because she is, like, there is, I believe it is in America, I don't know about New Zealand otherwise, but like lawyers have agreed that, if you're stating true facts, that is an absolute defense for defamation. You can't defame somebody if you're speaking the truth. However, when she's asked to dismiss the case, it's not on the basis of that she's telling the truth. It's on the basis of, I have the right to my opinion and I can speak my opinion even if it's wrong. That is her argument for dismissing the case. It's absolute BS.
It's like, I don't know what you're going to ask.
I'm going
to
answer and if you have issues with it,
I'm not.
I get it.
Yeah, okay,
I get it.
Just so we're clear.
Usually in a debate, if something's not loaded, I'm just direct.
Because you kept saying I'm Joe Rogan. They had no evidence. And now you're like, let's move away from the evidence. Let's talk about transcendentals.
Okay. Anyway, so direct question.
She's saying, he said on Joe Rogan, you have no evidence for your claims. And she's like, no, you need to move away from the evidence. No, he wants to see what your evidence is, Candace.
Jen, super easy. Was Lance Twiggs DNA on the rifle as far as you know?
We can't say that for certainty.
As far as you know.
I already answered that in the first part. We can't say that for certainty.
Oh my gosh. First question, she avoids an answer. We can't say that for sure. So she doesn't know.
Yeah, I told you the context of which they spoke about those things.
So no, as far as you know.
We can't say that for certainty until we know what other the 5 sets of prints were on.
So that would be no as far as you know.
We can't say that for certainty.
You can say no as far as I know for certain.
We can't say that for certainty.
You can say that for certainty.
if your energy here is going to be like you're my dad and you can tell me how to speak or what I'm supposed to say, you're
no, we just want to straight
I'm familiar with this debate strategy.
But I am just telling
yes or no. We're not debating anymore. We're having a conversation. So I already addressed that in the first half of this about why.
No, we're still definitely debating. This is still.
If you go back and watch, she said there's more evidence that Lance Twiggs was involved in shifting the rifle than Tyler Robinson. Now she's shifting this. Can't say. I don't know. We can't say for sure that his DNA is even on the gun.
Now this is you saying I want to probe things that sit outside of the evidence. I actually already addressed this. You asked me. You're not going to go like where you're sitting and I'm on trial. I'm not on trial.
Okay, great.
So let's talk about
let's talk about the Foreign Legion.
Sure.
Was the Foreign Legion, do you believe, trying to kill you?
Yes, that's why I reported it to the correct officials in government.
No, she didn't. This is my claim, okay? This is my opinion. She never once stated that she made an official report with the FBI, okay? And now she's going that she never says who she said she spoke to somebody very high up in the FBI. Doesn't say who it was. She doesn't say that she made a report. I am claiming that Candace never actually made an official report. She messaged somebody privately who works at the FBI, not an actual report.
And that's what I was told, and I handed over that information to Tulsi Gabbard's office.
What's your best piece of evidence for that?
Well, it was
positive evidence.
It was told to me by somebody who was high up in the French government. I passed off that information to Tulsi Gabbard's office. I also passed it off to Donald Trump's office. And that's all I can tell you. I wouldn't be able to probe any evidence because I don't have the power to do that. I'm not the federal government.
How did you do that? By text message, by email? Did you actually file the report with the FBI? Nope. She's not going to answer that.
I would also like to say that this becomes this other piece of what you do, which is when people say, I was told this, and this is the evidence that I have, and I'm willing to have that conversation and write the email to the correct government body that deals with this. Like, I can't hack into Emmanuel Macron's bank account and say whether or not the information. But then you go, well, where's your evidence? It's like, well, my evidence is that I reported it. I did the right thing that you're going to do. So if somebody calls and says, hey, Andy, there's a viable death threat against you, and that person definitively has the rank to be able to tell you this, and you say, well, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to report that to the feds. And then I go, what's your evidence? It's like, well, I got the information and I gave the information that I got from who I got it to the right body of people. And that's what I did.
Got it. I just want to make sure. So I'm not trying to trap you. I just want to make sure I got it clear.
And that's why I say I want to know what you're doing now, because this has always been the thing. It's like, we actually can't win on the overwhelming claim. So we're just going to go and bring up everything that I think can try to embarrass her. I reported exactly as I received it.
I'm not trying to embarrass you. I just want to make sure that I get your positions clear.
I have not said, go ahead.
Now you have stated multiple times that you believe that Israel's involved in the death of Charlie Kirk.
Can you give me...
Yes, we can pull up the clip. I'm sorry. I'm just saying.
Can I finish the sentence?
Go ahead.
Can you give me the context for what are you talking about? Like when I say, generally speaking, why people think that Israel's involved?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Where's your question?
Yeah. Do you have any positive evidence whatsoever that Israel killed Charlie Kirk?
Well, I couldn't say Israel was on the ground and shot and killed Charlie Kirk. I would say that there are various things that we're trying to establish, one being a motive. And since I don't believe that Tyler Robinson and his transferee is a convincing motive because he was fired up about politics, which Lance testified that he never spoke about.
Even though, like, large portions of the activist wing of the LGBTQ group were actively out celebrating Charlie Kirk's murder and saying, well, how wonderful it is. He was a horrible man. He just got exactly what he deserved. That's not motive at all. That's not motive. No, these people didn't hate Charlie at all. It was probably Israel.
With him, nor do I believe that he was, so into LGBTQ issues, since Lance testified they never spoke about LGBTQ issues, that he stopped.
No, it was just a dude and his gay furry boyfriend just clapping cheeks. They went. Other than that, absolutely no interest in LGBT issues.
And ate at Chick-fil-A, which, if you are into LGBTQ issues, wouldn't be your lunch before you go kill Charlie.
Okay, let's sure, right.
For LGBTQ issues, because
Yeah, but do you have positive evidence?
I'm answering the question as I feel like I want to answer it. Like I said, you don't get to for an hour and a half.
But the question I'm asking is about positive evidence.
I'm telling you that
she's just, once again, shifting the goalpost. She's just giving her opinion here. Okay. So by the way, you will notice a theme here. And like, if you want to say that you believe Candace Owens and nothing that anybody else has presented, you don't trust the state, yeah, fair enough. And you trust Candace Owens. Okay, sure, I can accept that. But you might have to accept here that you are trusting a woman's opinion and she does not have any evidence. So far, we're a couple of questions in, not one piece of evidence. And she's just talking about opinion. I think
any case establishing a motive. And again, I already explained this at the top of the show, but the reason why people find Israel to be an interesting question is because, truthfully, Charlie's perspectives were changing on Israel.
Sure.
And he was starting to realize how much pressure was being put on not just our government to constantly fight their wars, but also being put on his organization personally. If people had come out and been honest about that, rather than rabid claiming he never flinched and everybody's lying and this is not true, you would probably...
But are you going to address the fact that you were wrong about the letter that he wrote to Benjamin Netanyahu? Because you stated that was very wrong and it was a damning letter that he spoke to Benjamin Netanyahu, that he wrote to Benjamin Netanyahu, and that he was lying about it. But then when he released it publicly, it turns out that everything he said in the letter was true. So you were wrong.
Probably have people that just go, that's life. People change their opinions.
I understand.
And then there was the rabid, not even that. It's like everything was about trying to convince the public how much he liked it.
So then other than intuition, how you feel about things, do you have any evidence Israel was involved in killing Charlie Kirk?
I have already said, and if you're watching my show and the context of what I said, this is the general sense of why people think Israel's involved. Nobody has made the claim that Israelis, there were also, obviously Joe Kent
made the claim.
Well, Joe Kent, who I think would have the right to assert it, noted that there were 12 Israeli cell phones on the ground that day. I think most people would like to probe that. Now, it could be maybe they were students, and they were Israeli students.
Maybe there was, I don't think you brought that up once on your show. You just said that there was suspicious there. But by the way, how do you know that hasn't been investigated? You don't. It's like she's making inferences based on incomplete information.
In Utah that day. But we like to probe that narrative because what we've seen after coming from the Israeli government, the Israeli prime minister kind of denying that he did it, which wasn't really necessary, he was quite busy. The phone call that happened, which...
He denied that he did it because Ian Carroll, who we're best buddy there, came out and publicly said that it was Israel were behind Charlie Kirk's assassination. And then he was asked directly that question, so he had to address it because he was live on TV. So, but that's suspicious according to Candace Owens.
No one wants to discuss in the Hamptons the week prior, or not the week prior, I think it was around August 5th or 6th that took place. Mm-hmm. And again, the almost desperate lies about Charlie shifting opinion on Israel lead us to believe that there could be an Israeli angle in this. But we cannot say for certainty that Israel called the shots and this is how it happened. But it is definitively, I think, a thread that a lot of us would like to see.
There's no positive evidence.
Whatever you want to say, however, positive, negative, however you want to say it.
Well, positive evidence would
have
be
a conversation.
Material evidence and other evidences.
What we've said is on our show is what we've said, which is this feels like a conspiracy building. There's no reason to lie about these things, and yet people are lying.
On this one.
BB ain't acting right. the Hamptons thing was weird, and the way they tried to shove the Israel narrative down our throat immediately. I mean, the day he died, posting a picture of him with an American and Israeli AI'd photo on the president's feed doesn't feel right. So,
do you have any evidence that Erica Kirk, TPUSA, participated in the murder of Charlie Kirk?
I've never said they participated in the murder of Charlie Kirk. So how could I say that I have evidence they participated in the murder of Charlie Kirk?
Okay. So then you don't believe that they did?
I never have said that statement, so I'm not going to get you to ask me personal questions about things that I've never said on record.
Okay, fair.
Your team is sending messages in the back saying they have a video they want to play.
Okay, go ahead.
I don't know what the video is. Yes, you said that there's a video you want to play that Candace said she has full confidence Israel was involved?
Yep.
Yeah. He said evidence that they killed him. I said this is why people think they're involvement.
So
if they have the clip, they can play the clip.
Yeah.
They're referring to a clip.
Yeah.
Via whom? My guess is Pierre. Erica. I think that there's a reason Pierre knew that Charlie was dead first. I think there's a reason he was a priority. How? Why? I think France and Israel are involved in Charlie Kirk's assassination. And I'm going to put that out there with full confidence.
Full confidence.
Involvement.
I understand.
Yeah.
So you think you with full confidence, you think that
I think Israel's
France
involved.
and Israel.
Yeah. I mean, the person that gave me that thing that I reported said that French Foreign Legion were on the ground that day.
Mm-hmm.
Again, this would be at a professional limitation for me to then go and probe that information that I handed over. I can't do that. I'm not.
But
the
you don't
United
have
States
any
government.
positive evidence of that.
Okay.
Right?
I don't. Can you just stop? It's actually just like annoying to hear you keep saying positive evidence. I've just asked me what I think. I just tell you, yes, I think they are
that's
involved.
That's a claim.
No, I said here's what I think.
I have every right to ask you about your claim.
Yeah, but
and if there's positive evidence
in
for
this
your
statement,
claim.
I literally just said I think, and I am allowed to think. And
Yeah,
you
you're
keep
allowed to
saying,
think,
you have
but you're making a
positive
claim.
evidence. I have tons of positive evidence that I'm allowed to think. Yes.
I agree. You're allowed to think.
Okay. So
if you're saying somebody in full confidence, that means, hey, here's one, Candace. If you're saying that in full confidence, that means you're overwhelming, confidence in this. There must be a reason why you're overwhelming confidence in that Israel and France are involved in this. So why do you have that feeling? You are allowed to think, but let's understand your thought process there. There must be something that makes you fully confident that they are involved. Like, oh no, it's just vibes.
Disputing whether or not Candace Owens is allowed to think. What I'm asking is
what's your issue then? What is your issue with the statement?
Evidence.
I think that Israel is involved.
That's not just what you said. You said that it's with full confidence.
Yes.
You would think that if you had full confidence
to think when you think.
If I said, for instance, I think.
So in other words, according to Candace, she can say that about anything she thinks because she always thinks in full confidence. It's ridiculous, man.
To work. Right? With full confidence. I would say my evidence for that is that I'm 20 minutes away and I need to be there in 5.
Andrew.
That's how you would know whether or not you had full confidence.
I'm going to tell you something.
Let me finish.
Sure.
Let me finish. If it was the case that I said I have full confidence I'm going to be late to work, I would say my evidence that I'm going to be is that work is 20 minutes away, right? And I have to be there in 5. So I have full confidence. That's why I would think that. So I'm asking if you think that Israel and France were involved in the assassination of Charlie Kirk, and you say with full confidence, I'm just asking for the evidence, or at least walk me through the mindset of why it is that you can think that with evidence.
I actually don't have to walk you through why I think. I can give you something that I think with full confidence. I think with full confidence that you lost the substance of this debate, and now you're moving toward things that I have said that I think,
How has he lost? You haven't been able to back up any of your claims that you've made. It's just, what is with this woman?
I can do. I'm
They're
allowed to think
pertinent to this debate.
It's not exactly pertinent to this debate.
100% pertinent.
It's not pertinent because our debate
These are claims made about Charlie Kirk's assassination. That's the complete substance of the debate.
No, actually, would you like to remind him of what our debate claims actually were?
And would you like to remind you said I could ask you about any of these things to my heart's content?
Feel free, but you do not get to structure how I'm allowed to reply or ask me why are you allowed to think.
I'm not structuring how you're allowed to reply. I'm just asking you direct questions.
I have full confidence that you do not feel that you represented your claim well. And so now what you came prepared to do is to present yourself like a professor of fallacies.
I just want to know.
And to say, you're not allowed to say that. You can't.
You can say whatever you want.
Well,
nobody's disputing that.
She could say, I can say with full confidence that you know that you didn't win this debate. Because as we've just established, no matter what Candace thinks, she always thinks of it with full confidence.
I'm asking,
seems like you are disputing it. I think that when this is all said and done, I've already explained to you. I explained at the beginning of this why I think Israel is ultimately going to be proven to have involvement in this. I just explained to you in the middle, and now you're wanting me to structure the sentence or provide evidence. You don't have to. You're just allowed to think. And I've explained to you my thought process. I don't need to structure it in a sentence. If you feel like a professor today, you picked the wrong day.
Don't you think that like tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of people would want to know what Candace Owens' positive evidence for why it is that Israel and France were involved in the most traumatic
Do you hear that, Candace Owens viewers? You don't know. You want to hear Candace Owens' thoughts, the things that she thinks when full confidence. You don't need to know any evidence of this. Doesn't matter. Evidence does not matter. You just need to know her thoughts. You don't need to know her thinking process, how she arrived at those thoughts, why she has full confidence, why, no, it's just Candace's thoughts. That's enough. That's enough for you, plebes.
Assassination of Gen Z's lifetime is?
That's why they watch my podcast.
So you're just going to drip to them? Like, here's why I think that?
Every time we come across any of these discussions, they're watching this in context and they know why I'm saying it. So, for example, when you're bringing up, well, Candace, where's your evidence for France doing this? I just told you someone who was high ranking in the French government, right?
Who's nameless?
Of course.
Of course.
But
so there's good reason to doubt this. It's
not a conspiracy, though, if I then took it to the federal government. Like, you can't just go out there making a claim to the federal government. You get in trouble for making false statements and things of that nature. So, and then you go, well, I'm going to probe that. Well, how can you?
If she really had made a report, she would be able to produce evidence that she made a report. Why not? Why release the email that you sent with all this information? Okay, she's not going to do that. She's never going to address that.
Probe that. This happened to me.
I can ask you. Well,
this
that's not what I'm probing specifically.
This is my.
By the way, around the same time, I think it's within a few weeks of her claiming that France were out to assassinate her. Like there were pictures up where she was on holiday. She was out in public with her family, and that's fine. I'm more than happy for her to be out in public with her family. But while she's claiming that a government is trying to assassinate her, seems a little suspicious, no?
Podcast, I'm sharing my life and my experiences and what has happened to me, and you're basically coming in like you're gonna regulate how I'm allowed to say it. If
I'm not trying to regulate anything. I'm asking very pertinent questions.
You're sounding a bit like a professor trying to regulate and say, Candace,
you sound very defensive and like you just don't want to answer questions.
I did answer your question 3 times. I just didn't say it in the way that you wanted me to say it.
You just kind of obfuscate and you run away from it. But I would like for you to ask.
So far, once again, every question that Andrew has asked Candace, where's your evidence of this? What makes you so confident in this? It's either I think. I'm allowed to have full confidence. You can't tell me how I can think, or I have a nameless source that I'm never going to divulge, never going to tell you exactly who this is, and you're just going to have to trust me. Okay, but it's the federal government, the prosecutors that are not being fully honest.
Let's just go through every clip that you guys have prepared because I think with full confidence, people will recognize the strategy that you're trying to employ. So let's get to the next clip.
Yeah, the strategy is, Candace, you've made a whole lot of statements here. We would like to see some evidence, we would actually like you to answer some questions of how you arrived at this conclusion. No, you're not allowed. You can't tell me how to think. We're just asking you, how do you think? Because it doesn't seem like you do.
You have prepared.
Sure, they can pull up whatever clips
whatever it is that you guys have prepared. So
but I would still, on this point, I just want to make sure that you have full confidence that France and Israel were involved in the assassination of Charlie Kirk, and you have no evidence for it at all that you'll give us.
Well, I already did tell you where it came from. Like I said, I can explain it to you. I can't understand
it
for you.
Did that same higher up tell you that he was going to kill, or that France killed Charlie Kirk? Or
I can explain it to you, but I can't understand it for you. Her argument is trust me, bro. That's it. Like her whole thing about the pretrial is we can't trust anything on the pretrial. It's just hearsay. It's just hearsay. Literally everything you have as far as my inside sources is hearsay, Candace. That's it. Anybody trusting they are trusting hearsay. I think your listeners and your loyal fans deserve better than hearsay.
Just that you were in danger.
They said that the French Foreign Legion was involved and on the ground that day. I've already said that. You just don't like hearing it.
No, Candace, just out of curiosity, when you pass down that message to Tulsi or Trump.
Tulsi's office, yes.
Tulsi's office. Are you giving them who told you that? Or you're just saying, here's what I heard from somebody?
And I have this information.
Sure.
And of course, if they wanted to open a file on it, which I thought was quite mysterious, that Trump's office never got back to us. It was kind of weird about maybe they're not the correct office too. I did receive a response from Tulsi Gabbard's office, but I don't think there was ever any investigation into what I said.
So the call was, hey,
email.
So in other words, she didn't go through official channels. She just made this. She just made this statement. Sent an email. She's not going to release who she did. It was to their office. So it was like, she didn't make. She didn't actually address. It didn't go through official channels. She didn't make an official FBI report. And that there. But now it's suspicious that people didn't get back to her, even though she didn't go through official channels. Hi, Dewey. Hey, welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. We're going through Candace's claims here. We're having a good time. But yeah, welcome.
been told the email.
Yes.
Email was, I've been told
I have information, that the French Foreign Legion was on the ground during Charlie's assassination. And that, I mean, it was a lot of information, but
you didn't give specifics who it was from.
Not in the first email, because I figured they would
Perfect.
Yeah.
So if they do contact you,
100,
are you comfortable giving 100% who it is?
I would absolutely give them as much information
can I ask
as
a
possible.
question?
Now, I think a lot of people missed this, but she didn't actually. He said his question was, are you more than happy to provide exactly who gave you this information? And she said, I will absolutely give them as much information as I can, which is her avoiding this question. She's not. She doesn't want to come out and actually say, yeah, no, I have this source. She, according to Candace, she's verified that this is somebody high up in the French government. I'm not going to name who. But then, even when the FBI comes knocking, she hasn't actually said that. No, she's actually going to come out and provide this information. What's this? We've got another comment here from Hi Doomy. I saw this. I wish Andrew was able to ask more. I'm not happy with Candace rebuttals. Yeah, that's what we're going through, and this is the second half of it. And this is something that really infuriates me, because Candace has made a lot of wild claims here, and I can accept a lot of it. The more that people are involved, just give me some evidence here. And so far, every question that Andrew's asked, her response has been, well, this is my opinion. And that's her thing. And so it's just absolutely infuriating. Yeah, you're absolutely right. She is just dodging all the questions. Yeah, absolutely right. And that's what. And this is something that I really want to get through, because I don't have a problem with you want to believe Candace Owens, but just know that you're believing a woman who's just giving her opinions. She's not providing actually any evidence, despite the fact that she's been doing this public investigation for 10 months. No evidence on any of these so far presented. It's just unknown sources, or I think and I feel.
If whoever's the U.S. government, why are you not?
Yes, it's very strange to me.
So if that's the case, now they may respond back and say, we did, that's their position.
I did. That's why I did it in writing.
And so I'm glad that's the case,
yes.
Because so if they
and
do
right
ask
away in
you,
Trump's office, his Margot got right back to me. She said it was on his desk, so he has that. There's no.
And if you do say that and they contact that individual, obviously you don't have to leak your sources here. Is there enough credibility where that person would be willing to talk to them and explain to them exactly what their sources are?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, it
seems reasonable. And so why he's asking me to defend that is
I'm not. Never
I think those are two different things. That's more something I'm asking different claims. Why are they not reaching out to you?
I've asked that many times on my podcast.
What do you think about that, Andrew?
What?
The fact that she emailed, she gave it, and nobody reached out to want to contact the source.
They probably didn't think it was actionable, is my guess. But even if they did think it was actionable, great. Every lead should be followed up on within the confines of what's rational and reasonable.
Is it fair to say that this is maybe a different individual, because this is a person that was involved with TPUSA and had a relationship with Charlie?
Who?
No, her relationship. This isn't just anybody. So if an average person sends it, yes.
Yeah, but I mean, we don't know who the source is. We don't know any of this.
Then if you were in that department, wouldn't you want to, even you assign it to one of your guys?
There's no guarantee they didn't look into it. How do we know? We don't know.
How could they? They didn't come get more of the information, more of the information, because it was a long file.
Yeah. This is a separate. This has got nothing to do with the debate. This is more on.
Well, I sent the email, assuming that's you're saying you go and you make a report. You think they're going to come back to you and say, "Hey, what's more information? We're investigating this," and that didn't happen.
Once again, she's saying when you go and make a report, and this is my thing, the gripe the whole along. She said right from the start, I didn't make her first statement on this, because I remember it really clearly. I covered it months and months ago. She's like, I didn't make a report, and I should do that, but I sent it to somebody very high up. She never specified who. Apparently, it was Tulsi Gabbard's office, but she never really specified who she actually gave it to. I maintain, because she hasn't been able to present anything to refute this, and she could release, her emails with the email address redacted or whatever, but she could release and say, this is the email I sent. Yes, this is an actual report. I maintain she never actually made a report with the FBI, because she's never been able to state, to present anything otherwise. Here we go. Yep, vibes and feelings, unfortunately. I really liked her because of her views on feminism, and then Kirk was unalived and she flipped. Yeah, I think she was possibly going over off the deep end quite before that, but maybe it flew under the radar a little bit. I did the first I think podcast I saw with her was her with oh gosh, I'm having a brain blank here. I can't remember, Russell Brand. And I actually thought I really like, this was years and years ago, and I really liked her energy. She was very confident. She spoke really well, really charismatic. And like, I thought, to be honest, in that one there, I thought she ran circles around Russell Brand, to be honest. And I thought, wow, she's really smart, really intelligent. Yeah, no worries about that. But yeah, and then even when the her thing about her statements about Brigitte Macron, I was like, that seems pretty wild, but okay, like, she seems smart. I'm sure she has good reasons behind this. And then I've even, since this whole thing, I've looked into that there, and it's like, it really isn't, she really doesn't have anything to back herself up. Once again, it's feelings and vibes. Although I wonder how people would feel about Candace if they knew she didn't believe in gay marriage. Lol. Yeah. I mean, also there's like her background, her starting up is quite unusual. She's got in her history, I think she started like a left-wing website that was, dedicated to doxing people, anybody they disagreed with. So, she kind of has an unusual start for a free speech warrior that she's claiming to be now. Even though she seems to be doesn't really want to address her claims. So yeah, there's a lot where she's like, wishy-washy on things. And it would be really good if she would actually answer some of these questions and present some evidence. But she's not presenting it because she doesn't have it. That's all I have to say. Oh damn, I didn't know that. Yeah, there's a few dodgy things in her past. So yeah, and very, very interesting.
Happen, which is what I raised.
No, I'm asking,
that,
did you send
especially
the
because this was at a time where they were saying that they wanted to explore every possible lead. I even texted Dan Bongino.
But
so actually, it was three offices.
Let me ask one question.
The executive office, Dan.
Well, hold on. I even texted Dan Bongino. Once again, not a report. So until she actually releases the email that she sent, I maintain she never made a official report with anybody.
Bongino and Tulsi Gabbard's office.
Okay, so a follow up to that is the following.
Mm-hmm.
If they contact you to say, is that specifically to the French government or Israel's involvement in the killing of Charlie Kirk?
That wasn't about
Those
Israel.
Are two separate things.
That wasn't about Israel.
Okay,
they were saying the French foreign, that person as a part of it was saying that it was the French Foreign Legion that was on the ground that day.
I'm surprised they haven't called you.
Then I find that to be very strange too.
I do as well.
Because who would want to make a report? I've never made a report with the federal government.
Let me ask one question.
Mm-hmm.
Let me just ask one question, and I'm going to bring it to you.
Sure.
The question is in regards to, I've not seen that clip, so I'm seeing it now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm full confidence. I believe that Israel and French was involved. Is that also based on a source that somebody told you that Israel was involved in the assassination of Charlie Kirk, or is that a gut feeling?
So in terms of Israel, I mean, what I've said is what I publicly have said here. I do think that at the end of this, we are going to find that Israel was involved. I do. Now, in terms of any of the hard evidence that's been presented, I think this has been a huge problem that a lot of us have had is that they won't even explore anything else that was going on in Charlie's life personally. So if we're not satisfied that Tyler Robinson did this in any way,
they won't explore anything that's going on in Charlie's life personally. The text message that she released, that she said, "Oh, this is my evidence," which was about the Jewish donors. That she released, and she's like, "Oh, this justifies it," which I think she admits later on that came from I forget the guy's name, the guy who released, who resigned from his job, worked under Tulsi Gabbard. I forget the guy's name. She admitted it came from him. He was leaked to him. But like, they had that because they were investigating it. So her claim there, she wouldn't have had that text message. It would never have been released to her if they weren't investigating it. So like, clearly they did follow those leads there. So like,
and every alternative theory should be explored. Other evidence should be brought forward. We've done that in our capacity. Like when people keep saying she has no evidence, it's kind of crazy. I think we've broken like more stories than any news source in the world. I mean, down to pictures, details, police officers, what the dog's name was, because we're not.
Okay, so present some evidence. Like she's like, "Oh, look, we've done all this on our show. Oh, we've presented this." Okay, so you should have some evidence that you can refer back to right now when you're asking questions about these claims that you've made. You should be able to refer. It should be really easy. Oh yeah, no, I can pull that up. Yeah, I've covered this on my show. I have all this evidence saved on my computer. Like my people have it. Play the evidence. No. Like reminder that. She released the video on the rooftop video that she just did recently, and she was like, "Oh, this was clearly military because he crawled on his knees in one hand, just like they do in the military." It's like, just like anybody would do if you got them to hold something in one hand and got them to crawl across the floor. They'd do that. You know, no, it's a lateral crawl. Only U.S. Special Forces know how to crawl like that.
The only people that believe there's a conspiracy here, the police officers that were involved, the many police, sheriff's offices, that were departments that were involved that day, all believe there was a conspiracy. Down to the U.S. Marshals believe there was a conspiracy. They were.
Okay, yeah. What's your source on this?
My sources at the U.S. Marshals were saying they were basically sent in a wild goose chase that day.
Do you see how you say my sources?
You're not allowed to have sources.
Well, the thing is funny.
So is CNN allowed to have sources?
Hang on. I have sources. If I said I have sources that claim none of that's true. In fact, my sources claim that her sources are lying. My sources claim that none of them believe that there's a conspiracy. My sources claim all of them really think that Tyler Robinson was a lone gunman. If I just said that as a hypothetical, wouldn't you say, what?
Yeah, I think what probably adds weight is like then when I drop photos of the car that no one was supposed to see, people go, okay, her sources are legit. So, and then when what I say is then proven in court and nobody knew those things, people are recognizing that my sources are legit. When I say Charlie was scared in the last days, and then I dropped the text message, which you've just learned about a couple of weeks ago, of him saying he was leaving the pro-Israel cause when everyone was lying about that. And they say, I think Candace's sources are legit. So I think what's happened is I've actually built up a rapport with my audience that it's not vibes and dreams. And that's why they keep watching my content, because like, for example, when I just the other day released the content of the shooter on the roof doing the lateral crawl, then they're going,
the lateral crawl.
Just vibes. It seems like Candace's sources are legit. So I've proven myself in the market.
Yeah, I'm not sure that would legitimize your sources as being legitimate when it comes to the idea that, oh, they all believe that there's a conspiracy going on, which is actually what your claim is now. Well, how would that actually, hang on, I'm almost done.
How would that, to PVT
how would that legitimize, well, it's not his debate. How would it legitimize these sources that even if it's the case that you get some court footage or some things like this, why would it legitimize that your sources are telling you all the marshals believe it's a conspiracy, all the police believe it's a conspiracy, everybody believes it? How would that legitimize
Well, what I am saying to you, and you are not forced to believe it. So let me just explain what I was answering here. And I think that you understood what I was saying, is I have, because people trust me.
It's funny how she like keeps going towards Patrick Bet-David to like, you know, reassure her. It's like, he's the moderator. You're not meant to refer to him to do this. What's this here? Got another comment here. Okay, so Candace is defending literally a weird kid who had a trans furry girlfriend who was heavily online playing video games. She's defending a weird furry troll that could absolutely do this. Yeah, absolutely. And like earlier on, she was claiming that there was more evidence that the furry troll was the one who like took Tyler's gun and planted it. And then he's like, "Oh yeah, what's your evidence for that?" You know, no, I just feel this. He's like, "Okay, can you say for sure that his DNA was on the rifle?" We can't say that for sure. He's like, "So you don't know?" We can't say that for sure. And it's like, yeah, she'll never actually answer a question directly, which is one of the most frustrating things about this. But yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Like Tyler was a weird kid. He was dating a trans furry. And yeah, it's like, yeah, they were kind of weird.
Compiled a lot of information and presented it to the public. And this information has been proven true. We've presented photos, we have presented videos, never before seen stuff. The public has never seen it. And so what that does is your audience goes, okay, when she says that she has these sources, clearly she's telling the truth. Now, whether you would then go, well, I'm going to believe her when she says they don't believe, they think that there's a conspiracy, that's up to you. You cannot watch my content. I'm not here.
Also, there's a bit of a rumor going around. Guys, this is just rumor and hearsay. Absolutely, this is absolutely true. But she did at one point in her podcast there, and she was releasing the footage of the roof crawl. She said something. If she makes a comment about editing out the watermark from the FBI, and I think she kind of gave away that somebody was leaking the source from the FBI, which would be illegal. They wouldn't be allowed to do that, and so yeah, that she could come under a lot of fire for that. There, how exactly she got her hands on it, if it was not from a legitimate source. Enjoy the stream, everyone. Have a great day. Thank you very much for stopping by. It was great to have you. All right, let's continue.
Here to tell you that you have to watch my content or believe everything I'm saying.
Well, don't you think questioners should get questioned as well?
By who? I'm not committing a crime, am I? By just like
saying what I think, collecting evidence? Aren't most of the people you ask questions of not actually committing crimes?
But what do you mean they should answer questions? Where? Like at a police station? Like,
no,
what are you
just
saying?
like if you want people to come in and answer questions for you. I have questions about this in the investigation. I have questions about this. I have questions about that. You want them to answer.
She has demanded questions from Donald Trump directly. She's like, "Oh, Donald Trump should come and answer for this." It's like, yeah, but nobody can. Nobody has any right to question Candace.
To your questions. Doesn't it seem totally fair that you answer back the questions people have for you?
Well, they're not answering our questions. So it's also fair that they don't answer them.
So you're
That's why I said Andrew Colvett should be in this chair. He's not.
But isn't that a double standard?
No, it's not, because he's not doing it.
Yeah, but that would still be a double standard. If you're requesting that he does do it, then that seems to infer that you think he owes you answers.
Oh, so inferences are allowed again?
And they never weren't. So that seems to infer that you think that he owes you answers. If that's the case, then don't you owe answers?
Yeah, well, I feel like I'm answering your questions and his questions about, I'm talking about Andrew Colvett. His position is he's a spokesperson for Turning Point USA. So when the crowd turns against Turning Point USA on the basis of a lack of information, or because there has been, I don't know, seeds sown of distrust, I would imagine, and forget answering my questions because I doesn't need to be me.
Aren't you sowing a lot of those seeds of distrust?
Well, I think they're doing a pretty good job themselves, if I'm being honest. You can blame it on Candace all you want.
Well,
people love to do that.
The thing is funny is
people act like I'm ground zero.
I'll be fair with you.
Ground zero of people not trusting Turning Point USA.
I think that there was some PR there. I think there was some PR there. Sure, they could have done better. Absolutely. I'm not disputing any of that. One thing, though, that I want to just directly ask you is, do you actually believe that anybody in TPUSA or Erica Kirk or Erica actually participated, had foreknowledge of, or facilitated the murder of Charlie Kirk?
I'm not going to get myself into a legal pickle here. Everything I've said is on my podcast. I think firmly that if I was the investigating officers, I would seat them all and I would ask questions. I would at this phase. I would.
Okay,
so
what does that
hypothetical,
mean? Does that mean that you do think so?
I think it was not a sufficient investigation into what we know to be true of 80% of homicides. It's usually.
She has absolutely so many times come out and said that Turning Point USA are involved, that Erica Kirk was involved. She's made that claim many, many times, including on Piers Morgan. She said that, and even Piers Morgan hauled her up over that, and she contradicted herself. She's like, "Oh no, I never said that," even though she'd made that exact statement that it had to be approved by those in Turning Point USA that were closest to Charlie. She made that statement, and then, like a few minutes later, said, "No, I never said that they were involved."
Conducted by someone you know, right? And the fact that was never even considered, that, like I said earlier, the backpack was returned.
How do you know that was never considered?
Because they gave back the backpack, as just one example. They gave back the backpack. They gave back the...
That doesn't show a conspiracy.
Well, I mean, it shows that the police trusted everybody and didn't just hold things up for a second.
They ruled them out as suspects.
That quickly. I'm not comfortable with that investigation. It's a pretty big organization. There's a $100 million incentive. This is...
What $100 million incentive?
What I'm saying is his organization, it had grown to, I think it was 100
plus per year.
Yeah, per year. If that's something you want to factor
in. Your team wants to play a video, if you don't mind. There's a video they want to play of Candace said it's impossible to not believe Erica's complicit. If you guys want to play that video.
Yeah. Also just ask.
And so right now their guys are going out and they're going to look for evidence. And then by May, which is fortunately around the corner, then she'll see what they found. So what the F is that performance? How could you sit up there and say, I 100% believe Tyler Robinson did it? That right there is why it is impossible for me to think that Erica Kirk is not complicit somehow. Because
those two thoughts actually don't even follow. How would it be the case that even if Erica Kirk did believe that Tyler Robinson was 100% responsible for the death of Charlie Kirk, let's say she believed it with every fiber of her being, believed all the evidence, because she did. She just actually did. Would it then follow that somehow she's complicit in his death?
I didn't say complicit in death.
Yeah, come on.
Okay, so what's she complicit in?
Yes, so sowing this narrative that Tyler Robinson is guilty. So you're chopping up clips. Like I said, you didn't have the confidence to come in
tell me,
debate,
what does that mean? What does
up.
complicit mean?
We are showing a clip of her on Barry Weiss, which I can't remember the date that she did that interview. And Erica, when she is asked, do you feel with 100% certainty that Tyler Robinson did this? And she says, I do. Then, again, context matters. I sit down with Erica for 4 hours under the assumption that she had some evidence, right? This is why I did not engage in any Erica, everyone's questioning what she's wearing and all this stuff. I was like, I'm going to wait here because I don't know, just it feels weird to think that. Did I think that some of her mannerisms were weird and stuff like that? Yeah, but that's not, you can't convict somebody on weird mannerisms. And then when I sat down with her and I was expecting for her to say, well, I'm obviously the victim on the case and we got to see the shot, taken or this or that, whatever it is. Great. That's why she has that much confidence 2 months ago. And when I sat down with her, it was nothing. Okay. So this is a conversation.
How would that make her complicit?
Complicit. Again, you said complicit in the death of Charlie Kirk.
Complicit in what? Yeah.
Well, if you let me finish my sentence, I could tell you that. But my point being is that then you take a look at this and you go, okay, well, this is weird. Why would you have this confidence? And then when you sit across from somebody and you say, okay, great, I want to go out there and defend you now.
Okay. So she's talking about her meeting with Erica Kirk. Ooh, we got another comment. Hey, yeah, man, welcome to the stream. We're back again on the Candace and Andrew Wilson debate. I just want to bring something up here. Okay, so she's talking about the time that she actually went and had a meeting with Erica Kirk, and there is something bear with me a second here. I'm going to do something that I don't like to do. I'm going to bring up the Candace Owens YouTube page because there's something I want to bring up here. Now we're going to have to go. We're going to have to do a little bit of digging. So bear with me a couple of minutes. It shouldn't take too long. So where we go to a live show, we need to go back to December. We need to go back to December when she had the meeting with Erica Kirk. So apologies, it's going to take a little bit of scrolling. We've got to go back to here. And the reason I'm doing this is because I think this is the moment. Once again, she does this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 part series. I got to just it was 7. There on the Bride of Charlie. But no, she was never suspicious that she was never claiming that she was just involved in a cover up. She was never accusing her of being involved in his murder. Yeah, right. Okay, sure thing. If we go back to here, we're almost there. I did check this the other day just to make sure that she hadn't deleted the comments, and I think this was Hoop J go. Debunking the feds, trust the turning point, Christian Zionism. Oh gosh, where is it? I know it is the actual turning point wanted. This changes everything. Where is the one? She sat down with sorry guys, I know it's around here somewhere. Oh, here we go. Okay. So where is to Erica? Erica and I sat down. Here's what happened. Okay, now this one's really interesting because her whole attitude shifted after her meeting with Erica Kirk, and then it take a massive shift back. Okay, this is the preamble. Okay, so the point here, the interesting thing about this here is she walks back so much, and she sat down with Erica Kirk, had a great discussion. Erica was really forthcoming and everything here, and and she walks back everything. She's like, on this episode, if you go back and watch it, it's still there. You can still go and watch it. Episode 280. There we go. That's it. That should help it up. Here we go. Look at the comments on this one here, and this is what I think is really important. I think this is the point that Candace realized there was no turning back. She couldn't turn back on, she had to go full speed ahead on Erica and TPUSA, and that's exactly what she did. Because look at these comments. My advice is to put the phones down and go outside. These people can't be trusted. There we go. I just realized we the people will never be allowed to know. No. It's a big club and we are on it. All these people, all these Candace Owens fans are upset at Candace because she didn't do what they wanted to do. She walked all this back. Oh no, she got the call. Who is here after seeing the trailer of Erica Kirk series investigation? Private meetings are for one thing and one thing only, equals secrets. Crawling back into my cave. I thought we almost had a real one. In other words, Candace Owens betrayed them. No one can be trusted, literally no one. In other words, her fans no longer trust Candace. I'm so devastatingly disappointed. The world we live in is so corrupt and untrustworthy. This is after she goes and sits down with Erica. Erica, according to Candace Owens, presented all the information, presented like where everybody was. She was an open book. Anything Candace asked could ask, and she presented it to her. Her and I believe it was the CEO, his name's Blake. Is it Blake Neff? No, Andrew Colvin. Sorry, I believe it was him sat down with. This is all according to Candace. You can go back and watch this episode, and and this is where her audience turned on her. If you haven't been gaslit before, this is what it feels like: confusing, draining, nauseating. So here, when Candace went back and talked to Erica, had this sit-down meeting, her whole audience turned against her, and this is the point. I am convinced that Candace realized there was no turning back, and she had to go full speed against Erica and Turning Point USA. What do we got? Erica Kirk is confident about his guilt because the public evidence on this is convincing to anyone reasonable. Candace is playing devil's advocate on a baseless what ifs. Yeah, absolutely. Also, she's getting paid lots and lots of money for this. Obviously. No audio? No audio. Okay. Sorry. Oh, okay. What's happening to my audio? My audio is there. I hope I'm not being messed with. Let's just see. Okay, share this tab instead. Ooh, no audio. Okay. Well, thank you for letting me know. Oh, the last clip. That last clip had no audio. I was a couple of minutes behind. Okay, well, apologies about that. It wasn't really trying to show the video so much. It was more like, the fact that Candace, you can go back and watch that episode, like I said. But yeah, it was more that Candace, like in that episode, she walked back everything because she had to sit down with Erica, and Erica was very forthcoming. She like had all their travel scheduled. She like showed Candace everything that she wanted to see in that, and so Candace was like, "Oh no, it's all good, guys. Turning Point USA, we're all open and honest, like as you would expect them to be." And Candace's whole audience turned against her. The confidence, you can go look at the comments; they're brutal, and I'm convinced that was the point that Candace decided, no, I've got to go full speed ahead on this, and this is why she is at where she is, and once again, still has no evidence of that. Oh, no clip on the audio again. Okay, what's going on here? Bear with us, guys. I will try this again. Let's try, and I will see. There we go. It should be coming through with audio. So if I add that, let me know if this is not, and I'll run it back, but it should be absolutely coming through. I can hear it, which is I have done this before. I've had it mess up, and it like the audio doesn't come through. It's really frustrating. Let me just check my settings here a second. No, that should be all good. That doesn't relate to any on that. Okay. Okay, let me know if the audio is not coming through, and I'll see what I can do to fix that.
It's the public and people bit, by the way. I remember even Megyn Kelly was like, let's wait. She's going to have access to things. I did think she had access to things that we didn't have. Why express that confidence to the public as opposed to just being like, we don't know yet. I feel confident he's involved. They made an arrest.
I don't understand. How would any of this make her complicit and in what?
Well, I've already told you. She's complicit in trying to fool the public into thinking this is some open and shut case.
How's she trying to fool the public into this? If she believes
like, don't look anywhere else.
If she believes that Tyler Robinson killed Kirk, if she believes that, how would that be complicit in anything?
I do.
Are you saying that you think she doesn't believe it?
I don't believe that at that stage she sat down with Barry Weiss that's what she believes. No, but that's my opinion.
Right. But so when you just say complicit, you just mean she believes that Tyler Robinson killed Kirk? That's it?
That's what we were talking about. That's why I said if your strategy was to dice up clips and take it out of context and make it seem like I said she was complicit.
Everything.
Yeah, but then why not just play the full thing? Like why?
Because we don't have like infinite amounts of time. I'm guessing you probably don't want to watch.
Yeah. So once again, now she's swinging back to any clips that may look bad are out of context, and you should play the whole episode of my show for all of this. I think she is just running down the clock here because I believe that they were like the agreement was for 3 hours. She said, there was no time limit, but the agreement on paper was for 3 hours. So I think she was just running down the clock, and then when the 3 hours were up, she was more than happy to walk off.
I'm going to go back to my theory that you didn't feel confident that you could defend your claim that it was overwhelming evidence. So now you're trying to move towards doctored clips and getting me to respond to it.
There's no doctored anything. I'm just making.
It's not doctored clips though. It's just a short, and she could say, I said more than that, but like. She's not walking back any of her claims other than she's just saying she doesn't have any evidence for any of this.
Sure that we got this right.
Yes.
That what you're actually saying is that Erica is just complicit in believing it.
When I re-examined her actions backward, because I did not have this perspective of her at the beginning, which is why it's so funny to me that you guys make it seem like I'm ground zero. People thought Erica was sus from day I forgive him. And I was not a part of that. I did not lean into that. I did not contribute to that. I was getting actually terrible messages from my fans being like, Candace, you and Charlie always say to go with your intuition. You won't address this, how we all feel about her. Things changed for me when I saw that Zoom call. I will tell you that for sure. And the fact that she lied to me. So I sat across from her and, I wanted to have that conversation publicly, but they're probably grateful they didn't do it publicly. She told me some lies. And so the next thing that happens naturally when somebody lies to you, you go, when any person lies to you, whether it's a toddler, people only lie when they're trying to obscure something else.
Have you addressed what that lie was?
Yeah, I've talked about, we have a list of lies that we've been told about. We can find that,
I'm sure. In the meeting with her.
Well, no, I didn't want her to cage up. I didn't want to do this, and because I didn't know what to expect. Like I didn't know if she was going to be like, I'm so overwhelmed with everything, and I don't know who to trust in the organization.
But so far, she's not addressing now what the lie was either, what the supposed lie is.
And I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I didn't know. I didn't want to.
Just out of curiosity, before anything happened with Charlie, how close were you and Erica?
Not very close.
So there's not a relationship.
No,
Hold on, wait. And this is also funny. Like she's claimed the whole time that like Charlie and her were the bestest best friends. They never, that never stopped being. They were always close buddies, always chatting. But you don't know much at all about his wife. Like that's a little suspicious, no?
I would say it's totally normal. Like it's not like there was any issues at all. We were always nice to each other. It just is our life went to a different phase, right? So Charlie and I hitting the ground, running around, traveling 4 days a week. Now I get.
What's this? Her defense for her wild imagination is other randos also shared conspiracy theories about Erica. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. And like I said, like I'm convinced that her only reason for doubling down on this, like she was more than happy to back off. Because I think Erica actually did a good faith effort to like present all the information like of what people at Turning Point USA, like, we weren't, anywhere suspicious, like at a military camp, and part of a meeting with 2-star generals, a planned assassination, or anything like that. And, it's just, it's just exhausting. But, once again, it's all feelings and vibes. Oh, what's going on here? Oh no! Not now. Now we're having some issues. Come on, guys. Apologies. My browser is apparently crashing at the moment. Perfect timing for this. Absolutely amazing. Hopefully, we would just give it a minute, and we'll be back up.
Get married. I find love in my life. I get married and I get pregnant. I haven't stopped being pregnant. And what you want out of life changes. You don't want to be running around for 4 days a week and traveling on a plane nonstop. You suddenly want to start building a home and live. I was desiring that suburban life.
Did you guys ever do the double dates? You, George, her, and Charlie? Was there ever double dates between the four of you?
I was, engaged to George quickly. We were planning our wedding. I was kind of in my bubble with George. George traveled with me and Charlie, but Erica and him were just starting to date at the beginning of 2019. George and I were planning our marriage. So George really got to know Charlie. I wouldn't say that I really got to know Erica. I was just rooting for them because I knew how much Charlie wanted to, find love. And so I was kind of his wing woman.
Yeah, you're good. Your husband George, you're good friends with Charlie. He's also good friends with Andrew Tate, with the Tate brothers. He's a big defender of that, as I recall. You don't seem to be talking too much about that these days, which is interesting.
Throughout that phase, and I was just happy, and I never was under the impression, obviously, that they were going to get married when they were dating. So it wasn't like I was conscious. I really need to get to know this person, and so it was just kind of normal that by that time, because of where I was in my life, that I wasn't spending any time getting to know Erica per se.
So the complicit part about Erica to you, is that a gut feeling? You think
it transformed when she lied?
You can take the lead. I'm just asking questions.
Yes.
Yeah,
I actually don't. I still don't understand what do you think she's complicit in?
Yeah. So when I say Erica's complicit, that's my opinion. When you tweeted Erica's too retarded to kill her husband, would you like to explain how you developed your evidence?
So now she's just switching. She's not going to answer that question. She's just going to push it back on Andrew. What's this here? Erica always seemed like making Charlie a sort of traveling evangelist was her own dream. Now Candace is making it sound like Erica was less involved with TPUSA than her. Yeah, and there's some crazy double standards they have of Erica. And all that, she wasn't involved, but also she was doing too much. It's just. Yeah, no matter what she does, and I think I'm having brain blanks here. But it was summed up no matter what she does, if she's too happy and positive, then it's suspicious. If she gets upset, that's fake crying. It's no matter what she does, that they're going to be suspicious of her every single time.
For the fact that Erica was retarded.
Yeah, sure. So I just think all women are retarded.
Oh, so you're allowed to just say stuff. Who knew? So, and by the way, what dramatically transformed your opinion of Erica after going to the headquarters? Because you were pretty hostile about.
I wasn't hostile towards them.
You don't think calling somebody too retarded?
No, come on. That's normal tongue-in-cheek stuff for me online.
Oh, you're being tongue-in-cheek.
Usually when I call someone retarded, I'm being tongue-in-cheek, yeah. For instance, you got supporters.
Yeah, I think if he had come out and said, I can say with full confidence that Erica Kirk is mentally retarded, then, that would be a positive claim. And he's saying that with full confidence. And you would be within your rights to say, well, why are you saying that? Do you actually think that do you have some kind of evidence that Erica Kirk has some kind of mental disability? What are you saying? And then it would be completely fair and honest for you to ask those questions. However, when when he does that to you, no, that's out of bounds. He can't tell you how to think.
If you want to use the same exact argument, you would take a supporter like Owen Benjamin. He called you bad names and called your husband bad names. You're just well, it's no biggie.
I've never answered him on anything that he said. I'm saying that you now are her biggest defender. So do you still think she's
not her biggest defender?
Do you still think she's too retarded?
No. I didn't know Erica Kirk. I'd never met her before.
Okay, but you had an issue with Turning Point being led by a bunch of fembots talking about the feminist angle.
Still do.
And then suddenly you go to the headquarters.
It's a terrible idea.
You go into the head.
Yeah, no, this whole argument, because I have seen Andrew talk a few times in the past about this, and he's pretty consistent on this. He has said hey, I feel like there's some Christian woman within Turning Point USA. I don't think he ever specifically called out Erica Kirk, but he said, hey, some of the things that these women are pushing is feminist narratives, that it shouldn't be something that we're supported in a Christian organization. And he was quite clear about that. And he criticized Turning Point USA on their poor debate skills. And then, Turning Point USA actually took that on board. They asked him to come and do some training. So he's pretty consistent in that. And, he has before and after. Candace called a low blow there. Yeah, absolutely.
headquarters. Now all of a sudden you've got text messages that you're sharing with them. You say that you and your wife are getting involved with management.
No. I'm not involved in any management at Turning Point USA.
Well, I'm pretty sure there is a clip of you where you say that your wife went to their recent conference and sat down. And then when you were on Joe Rogan.
No. Hang on. I'll explain what happened just so that you understand.
Yeah.
So I was invited there to do some debate training. That's literally what I was invited there to do on recommendation. So I went down and did some debate. That's the first time I ever met anybody at TPUSA.
Okay. And then you said you sat down with Erica.
Well, I didn't sit down to her. I talked to her in a hallway.
So you didn't sit down and speak with Erica?
No, I didn't have like some sit down long conversation. We talked in a hallway.
Okay. Is that when you gave her the hug?
Yeah, gave her the hug right there. My wife did too. We were both very sorry for what happened.
Okay. So at what point did you start receiving text messages from that you cited in your opening statement?
Oh, I just reached out to TPUSA and said, I'm prepping for a debate. Is there anything that's pertinent that I can use here?
Do you find it interesting that people have been asking for, basic answers to questions, and you're saying that you walked into their headquarters and reached out and they instantly...
It's amazing, isn't it? If you reach out in good faith and you're not demonizing them and saying that they're complicit in the murder of people's deaths, that perhaps they're actually willing to release things to you that are pertinent, other than thinking that, maybe...
Yeah, I think this is actually a pretty good point there. Like, Candace is like, oh, why didn't they give this to me? It's like, well, maybe because you've been like trying to claim that they're complicit in this murder or a cover-up of his murder this whole time. And they're like, we're a little bit suspicious. Anything that we give to Candace, she's going to turn and release on her podcast and twist it into something that, they can use against us. Whereas, like, Andrew goes there and he's like, I don't agree with her at all. I'd like to push against her narrative and hold her to account. And, like, do you have anything that you could, that you'd like me to present there? Like, yeah, funnily enough, that would give a drastically different response.
Perhaps you're diabolical.
Well, I don't know. I feel like if I was going to release that information, I didn't demand that it be released to me. I actually never demanded that it be released. I just simply said that this is what was going on in the last 48 hours. Maybe to the media, they could release it. They could release it to PBD. They decided to release it to a guy that called Erica too retarded in June.
So what?
Yeah, I just think it kind of shows that Turning Point is sending you as their horse.
Well, I don't know.
They don't have the courage to have the conversation.
Like,
if they were just releasing something in good faith to answer questions,
do you have any
I've never demanded. It's not evidence. You're sharing your opinion that she's too retarded. I can't share my opinion that I think it's going to register as really obvious to the public. That rather than presenting that throughout the course of everybody wanting to know what Charlie was going through his last days, they decided to give it to you to come to my house as some sort of a surprise. Well, do you think the public's not smart enough to see through that?
Do you think that if you
talking about terrible PR,
if you know that there's a huge debate that's coming out that's going to be probably one of the most viewed that year, and one of the debaters calls you and says, I'm taking this position. This is the position that I feel like there's the most evidence for. And Candace also agreed to answer many of my questions in regards to this. So if you got pertinent evidence here that I can use, I'd definitely like to take a look. It was actually amazing to me. It really was actually amazing to me how if you approach people in good faith and just say, hey, I'd actually like to know what the facts and details are around this, they actually do talk to you. It's amazing.
Yeah, I just do not believe that they are doing this in good faith. I don't believe that anything you have done has demonstrated that's in good faith. It demonstrates that you walked into Turning Point USA headquarters and came out a different man because you were critical of the organization. You were critical of Erica. And now you're critical. Candace, I want to interrogate you for an hour and a half about everything you've ever said about Erica. Have you ever been
critical of somebody that you hadn't met and then you meet them and you're less critical of them?
And the inverse has happened too. I was less critical about Erica and now I'm more critical about her.
But I'm asking you, isn't it the case that there's people you've been critical of?
No. Hold on. She was less critical of Erica. Then she was more critical after the death. She started to think he was complicit. Then she sat down and had a meeting. She was less critical of her for one episode until her audience turned on her, and then she was back on the anti-Erica train. That's actually what happened. It kind of seems like Candace is like, oh, where's the wind blowing today? Where's the conspiracy wind blowing today? That's the train that I'm hopping on. It's been very financially rewarding for Candace.
Critical after you meet him.
Too retarded. I feel like if you think that she's dumb and let's just talk about your record. I mean, you're a person that has spent time in what most people would term to be the manosphere, talking about feminists. Well, yeah.
I debate against
against feminists
and red pillars. Okay. And a lot of the actual, so I'm a Christian ethicist.
And then you go on to Joe Rogan and you're like soft explaining away why Erica had to take over Charlie's company when they don't have a parent at home. So now you're a feminist icon, like you just go into the headquarters and you just shift all of your perspectives.
That's a bizarre criticism. Like nobody's.
I don't understand this argument. Well, no, I understand this argument. I think it's just a very manipulative argument because I don't believe that even Charlie Kirk, and if somebody can present their clips to the inverse, like Charlie Kirk or even Andrew Wilson, despite the fact that people say he's a huge misogynist and all these criticisms against him, I've never heard one of them say, "Hey, it's immoral for a woman who's a mother with children to actually go and run a business or to be a CEO of a business. They've never actually made that statement. They've said, no, the priority should be their family, should be their children, which is absolutely true. And you can't tell me that for 100% that, like, sure, like a tragedy struck, they've lost a husband and a father, and Erica is doing what she can to ensure that the organization that Charlie Kirk built continues, and she's doing everything she can, and she feels like the best position for her to do is to step into that CEO role. But that doesn't mean that her children are not still her first priority. Like Candace is making that claim. Candace, by the way, has 5 children. She's also married to a guy worth like $200 million. So why is she running one of the largest podcasts in the world? Why isn't she back baking cookies and like being the mother? That argument is like more relative to her, to be really honest. Like she's not a single mother. She could absolutely step away from this, be absolutely fine, and raise the kids. Candace thinks her beliefs and feelings are more important than facts. She's proving Andrew's point on women. That's a good point.
Boss position than you.
Yeah, I'm actually no.
You're in the biggest of the girl boss positions. Like, you don't have to do this. Okay. You just do this. You could definitely not do it at all and be fine, right? But you still do.
I would say that you are making a comparison that cannot be compared because Erica's husband was just assassinated in front of the world.
Which makes sense why she would take the organization over.
No, it makes sense why you would go home to your kids, just so you know.
Wait a second. That's bizarre.
Yeah, they don't have a parent. They don't have a parent and they've just suffered a trauma. You don't go into the office.
You want to protect your husband's legacy, right?
No.
And you're trying to find some new normal. The
legacy is his children, not the organization.
It's both.
No.
Yes, it is both. It's totally rational and reasonable to believe that it would be both Turning Point USA, that is part of Charlie Kirk's legacy. He worked his whole life for it.
This is why people think she's sus.
And his children. Now, for you, though, to say that anybody's a girl boss, right? That's like the pot calling the kettle black.
That came out of your mouth.
No, that was you. You brought up girl boss.
Girl boss came out of your mouth.
Yeah, I'm telling you that you brought up this idea that I'm defending some feminist nonsense. I'm not. I'm pointing out that there. By the way,
she's not qualified to take over his company.
There's always objective outliers.
Also, by the way, I looked into this. Erica is like by a factor of about 4 times more qualified than Candace Owens to be running a business. She is actually a highly qualified woman. She has like multiple degrees. She's actually run other businesses as well. So, like, yes, she is actually far more qualified than Candace Owens to be running a company, any company. By the way, Candace, she also ran an organization as well called Blacksit or something like that, which was like, meant to be African-American people leaving the Democratic Party. And she ran it like $1 million in debt every year she was running it. And Charlie Kirk had to bail her out. So she does not have the best track record on what a successful organization should be doing. Like, it's just ridiculous. She should shut up on this one. If Candace thinks there is a conspiracy against Charlie, it would be to destroy TPUSA. That makes Erica holding TPUSA together all the more important. She can't have it both ways. Yeah, and she says like, oh no, Erica is destroying TPUSA because she's going against everything that Charlie stood for and changing the direction of. She cannot. I have not heard a good argument other than that Charlie, in the last few months of his life, changed his opinions on Israel, and their TPUSA are apparently more pro-Israel than Candace would like. That's the only thing I can find that apparently even though Charlie Kirk's public statements at the time would indicate that he was still pretty pro-Israel. He just maybe was not so pro the Israeli donors who were trying to control his organization. But that being said, it's like, what is Erica doing that Charlie Kirk would reject and be disgusted in? Please make an exact claim what they are doing, what they were like, how they've turned against Charlie Kirk's message. Like they can't do that. Erica seems like a psychotic level overachiever. She loved helping with TPUSA. Yeah, like I said, like if you look into her qualifications and that, I'm fine with you, criticizing Erica if you don't like her or whatever. Like, I genuinely don't know what she's like as a person. I'm just saying, if you look into her qualifications, like, it's wrong to say she's not qualified to run an organization. You could say she's underqualified to run an organization as large as Turning Point USA. okay, that's a fair criticism, but Charlie disagreed with you, and he was the man who started it. So tough bricks, man. That's how it is. He wanted her in charge, and there was video coming out stating that. So, like, you know, whether you feel that she's the right person for the job or not, Charlie apparently did.
To each situation. In fact, it's the exception that proves the rule. And the interesting thing here is, like, I'm still just as critical of feminism inside of TPUSA as I've always been. And I'm just as critical of any pro-Zionist position as I've ever been. None of that's ever changed. By the way, I would think it's the most rational, reasonable thing on planet Earth to do if you wanted to actually see an organization change, to try to work with leadership or reach out to leadership to try to do so. Doesn't that make the most amount of sense?
That was a compliment on her qualification. Yeah, man, I understood what you mean. Yeah, absolutely. I do agree. Like, she seems like an incredibly hard worker. I understood what you mean.
I'd like to state for the record that I think Erica is underqualified to run the organization.
Candace dropped out of university. She didn't finish her degree. It was like 10 years later she went back and finished off her degree. So, like, from a university dropout, trying to say that Erica is underqualified. It's pretty rich.
And on the more emotional aspects, I agree with what seems to be a majority opinion, I'm not gonna say it's scientific, that any woman that would leave her kids and go right into the office after their husband was publicly assassinated does not have their priorities straight.
Okay, well, I understand that you can have those.
Like, what's the correct thing to do for a widow? Like, you know, it's like Candace apparently is the you know, the judge, jury, and executioner of what somebody should and shouldn't do after their spouse is killed. Like, come on. She was driven. Yeah, absolutely.
Those criticisms.
Yeah.
But I'm not understanding still how that would make her complicit.
I don't have to keep answering the same question.
Okay,
so let's
feel like you got an answer to how it's complicit?
Your team is asking to play a clip. So if we want to play this clip to just finish this segment on the Erica Kirk topic, we can spend some time on that as well. Okay. So if you guys are ready in the back, we're ready.
And causing that 30-06 diameter, as would happen with a patent explosives, as we've demonstrated to you in the past, it accidentally, because of how Charlie was crouched, went up and hit his neck. And that ruined everything. That ruined everything. It was problematic. It's the reason why Terrell then had to scramble to get the cameras down, because they were never supposed to see it. They could have said reasonably that a 30-06 got eaten by Charlie, much more reasonably, obviously, than saying that the chicken bones in his neck stopped it because he ate vegetables. They panicked. That's why Terrell's nervous on the phone with me. Again, this is my theory, and I am now very much sticking to it. Okay. They panicked. It's the reason Erica had to step out. That's why she would have gotten on the phone with Terrell so quickly, because I was going, why is Terrell saying, well, I didn't want Erica to relive. Oh, that's why I did it. He didn't have an answer. He was nervous. It was crazy. But he acknowledged it. He spoke to Erica immediately. Why did you speak to Erica immediately?
Do you believe that there was a shape charge that killed Charlie?
Hey, can I ask you why you keep starting clips mid-sentence?
Probably to get to where the clip is.
No, it doesn't seem that way, because you can always start a clip at the beginning of a sentence. Like, you're just it's completely out of context.
Wait, but I didn't prepare the clips, but
yeah,
I didn't, but it's fine to ask it to back it up.
Like I said, the internet, I don't need to say what's happening here because the internet will clock it. But in this episode, we are now going, and that's why I said we're now going to look at some alternative theories. I made it very clear that this was a theory that I didn't want to look at.
Okay. There's another thing here. It's like, if you watch the Candace Owens podcast, she will like absolutely fire hose information out. And I think it's a deliberate manipulative tactic. I really do. That she will fire hose a whole bunch of information. So you kind of, if you're a listener and trying to focus on and get to what she will like fire out all this information before she gets to her point. And you're like, it's like, oh, is this important? What's she talking about? Oh, I'm trying to follow and then she will finally present the information that she actually wants you to listen to. And by that point, you're kind of overwhelmed by everything she said before. So you just kind of accept that point that she's making. And so, like, if you were going to present anything you had to say, you have to cut that out. Otherwise, it's like, it's completely ridiculous. It's completely null and void. So yeah, but she's like, oh, you have to, like, come on, everybody gets clipped. Like, if you're a podcaster, everybody gets clipped. And by the way, what are shorts? Why do you do shorts then? Shorts are, a segment from your podcast taken out of context and then put out on YouTube. If you really had a problem with that, you wouldn't release any shorts.
This is, I believe, because I don't have every episode in my head, but I'm pretty sure this is an episode where we presented the evidence that was in the car, the photos of what was in the car, right? And so we are now inferring off of what we see in the car that this very much does look like that we are see a bunch of shattered Rode microphone, which was an early theory that I was actually interested in, but couldn't really wrap my head around what was the shape charge explosive. As I say at the beginning of the episode, like it was just not my expertise. And I was concerning myself with timelines and stories and statements that didn't make sense. Without question, Terrell Farnsworth is someone who made me think that we were missing a big part of the story. So I'm walking them through John Bray's theory. If we started to insert what we are actually observing with the evidence that we're taking a look at and what took place that day. So we're completely in the hypothetical right here. And you're now introducing this.
If that's the case, if you're just hypothetically exploring it, that's why I'm just asking directly.
Yes, but that's obvious when you watch this episode. So that's why it feels like I'm in the middle of an interview with CNN when they like pull up random clips and they're like, "What's this? What's this?" You watch the episode, you know what it is. I'm just trying to make sure.
Do you think that your alternative theory?
I think John Bray's theory should be explored. Yes.
Okay. Do you think that Charlie Kirk was killed with an explosive?
I think that is a possibility. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay.
And it should be explored. He's done a lot of work on it. John Bray has done good work, and I think that that's why that theory is now starting to gain steam since we released the second set of the photos of what was in the car. I think it's viable.
So this was the big thing I wanted to get into with you on the explosives too. Mm-hmm. What is it about that theory that's actually compelling to you? So I looked into the explosive mic theory multiple times. Mm-hmm. And the biggest thing that stood out to me is there's no explosion. there's literally no explosion. In fact, there's videos when the shot rings out that kills Charlie. At least it sounds like a shot to me. People are actually like looking up towards where the gun is being fired. They're looking away for where the sound is. Like, where's the actual explosion?
Well, for every person that you say looks away, there's going to be a person that was looking forward. We have former Marines that have gotten on and said, it looks to me like there's an explosion under his shirt, right? You obviously saw Rob O'Neill go on to, I'm forgetting which platform it was, where he said, it's the first thing I thought was
Rob O'Neill is the man that killed Osama bin Laden.
Yeah, and I think he's qualified to say what he believes he saw. We should actually, since they're pulling clips, we should run that clip of Rob O'Neill and what he said and what he observed in his experience. Yeah. So I'm going to take that. And also there were people who immediately spoke to the media that day who said the same thing, that they thought that something happened under his shirt. That was actually, if you go back to like my first episode, when I was just observing what I saw with my eyes, I was asking the serious question. I was seriously saying, why is it like somebody shot him from underneath? Why is his shirt moving first? That doesn't make sense to me. And
that's because of air dispersal from the bullet. So whenever a bullet is shot, a projectile shot, you can actually run this experiment yourself if you have a rifle. Mm-hmm. Take like an empty box of ammunition and put it on the table and then fire it near the muzzle, and that box will actually blow off the table.
Okay, so question for you. Does that box go sideways off the table?
It can.
It can.
Yeah, it can. It depends on the dispersal.
You use 3,000 pounds of energy or 2,000 pounds of energy coming at you. That's how much it carries.
Well, it's not 2,000 pounds of energy.
We can fact check that. How many pounds of energy is it? A 30-6 being shot 150 yards away? That's a great question for Grok. I'm going to say when we looked at it was between 1,500 and 2,000. I'm pretty sure pounds of energy coming at you, and you just go upward and to the side. I don't really buy that. And I'm going to just say I just think that that's not possible. It doesn't go through on top of that. So there's another miracle. You didn't get blown backwards. It didn't go through.
The explosion theory is BS. I think Candace is really smart, too smart to believe this. She's completely grifting. Yeah, I think so. And by the way, I believe, as we shared even on her podcast, when she finally got, there was the camera behind Charlie, and they said it was really suspicious that the guy got up and removed the SD card and then removed the camera, while everything was being taken down. Well, and that she said, that's the key to everything. That holds the theory there. If you actually slow down that footage, and when Charlie lurches over to the side after he's been shot, you can actually clearly see the Rode microphone. It was shown on her show. I believe it was shown on her show. You can see the Rode microphone still in one piece. It's like, if that blow up, it would have blown off his shirt, or at least would have been shattered, and it would be visible that it was shattered. Like, so apparently this exploded, didn't make a large explosion or smoke that people would see, killed the guy, but still remained, the front piece of it remained in one piece. But then, if you also believe, Candace, that then when he got him into the car, the glass shattered off it and spread out in the car, and the guys were drastically trying to cover up that in the 6-minute or whatever ride to the hospital. It's like, okay, that's a real, I don't believe that she's dumb enough to believe this theory. I really don't.
But I also want to say that you're saying this can happen, and Rob O'Neill is infinitely more qualified, I think, to speak on that.
Why?
And because he's actually shot and killed people.
Why would that have anything to do with anything?
Because
did he slow down all the videos of the people he shot to see if their clothes moved?
Well, why are you able to assert your position as a fact?
Because I'm gonna tell you how projectiles work. He's not even gonna I guarantee you, this guy's not even gonna disagree with what I'm about to say. If it is the case that you have energy and you have mass, and the mass is moving in the air has to go somewhere. It doesn't have a choice.
I think you're like totally BSing right now, man.
Not only am I not BSing, I'm telling you the truth. If a bullet is moving in air, air has to move out of way of bullet.
But maybe not at the bottom of a shirt here. I don't know. I disagree with that. I'd like to say for the record, I've watched some of you do these sorts of things where you assert something with a lot of confidence, and
you can fact check it.
Your
shirt, if bullets displace air.
Not about whether it displaces air, it's where it disperses the air. Underneath his shirt here.
It's not underneath the shirt.
The bullet's this big, and you're telling me it's going to hit his neck.
Candace,
and then
it's not underneath the shirt. It starts
cuffs.
up here, and the collar's moving, and then you see the wave here as he's moving backwards.
No.
Yeah.
That's not true.
It's not.
And we obviously can't show that clip. I disagree with you.
Okay, I understand you can't show it for TOS purposes.
Exactly. I disagree with you. People can go watch and make up their own minds. We don't need to debate it. Whether or not that was the first thing I said was, why is his shirt moving first? That didn't make sense to me. It almost looks just like this. It goes across. His necklace breaks first before Charlie even reacts. If you watch it in slow, his necklace breaks first, which I thought was very odd. And then you see a puff here. And then the next thing you know, there's the entry wound on his neck. I would not confidently assert that I see smoke. I've never said it on my platform.
Do you think that an explosion generally has smoke?
I don't think that there's any quality version of video that would get us to be able to answer that question other than Terrell's 4K footage that he has from the front. So
there's a lot of, if you look at the...
But it would show the shirt like rippling in an unusual fashion. Like, it can't be both.
Really pagers, it's assumed that it's a similar, if not the same type of explosive that was used inside the pagers that would have been used inside of this road mic.
I think that you should, since you love debating, you should debate someone like John Bray, who's worked on that theory for 11 months, and ask those sorts of questions of how a shaped charge would work.
11 months
I presented the evidence of what was in the car, and I also, at that episode that you're clipping, said John Bray has done an unbelievable amount of work on this, and I think he has debated a ton of people, actually, regarding this topic. So that's the route that I would send you on. For purposes of my show, I do believe, to answer your question, that it is a hypothetical. I mean, that it is a theory that should be thoroughly explored.
There's two clips your team wants to show. One of them is the Rob O'Neill clip, since we're on it. So if you guys are ready.
And what kind of wild coyote nonsense is it to rig an exploding microphone and you try to cover up and fake a shooter you have to frame? They'd keep it simple with a real shooter or attack. Yeah, absolutely. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Why would you go to that length? If you apparently, according to Candace, you got a military guy up on a roof to be in the position so he could be seen there. Definitely wasn't Tyler Robinson, but he got there, pretended to take a shot, and then you go to all this length of having the exploding microphone, which obviously it also went off in the wrong position because Charlie was hunched over. It's like, okay, we're meant to believe that Israel, the French assassins, and also somebody in the US government, like CIA, was also involved in this. It's like they wouldn't just get a qualified shooter who could take that shot. Like, they have good shooters in America. Like, most militaries have that. It's like, it wouldn't be hard. Why would you take all those extra steps? It just doesn't make any sense. It's just the most, like, you're overcomplicating everything. And doing it in front of a large crowd of people. So if anything goes wrong, you've got like 3,000, or it might have even been more than that, witnesses.
Ready in the back before we go to ad break. If you want to pull it up, this is a good time to do so.
And good to see you, General Holt. A lot of things bothers me about this. Nothing in particular. It's not like I'm out there saying big lie or conspiracy or someone did it. I'm just saying I've been in a lot of shootings. I've killed more than a handful of people, and this thing looked shady off the bat. I mean, I've killed people closer than I saw the camera, and I've never seen a shirt move like that. That looks like an explosion to me. Just the fact that no one started doing first aid to Charlie Kirk, they were more concerned about getting SIM cards out of cameras, removing cameras, and then getting him off the X somehow. There didn't seem a lot of concern for his life. It seemed like just clean it up. And then,
that's objectively not true, though. Like, his security team immediately jumped over the tables, like, cleared to get him, and immediately picked up his body and took it to the to a car to rush him to the hospital. So, like, then he's talking about other people after that, turning people user, who were trying to pack up like things around there because guys were jumping over barriers and stealing, like, the TPS USA shirts and T-shirts and stuff that he had on display. It's like, whatever, man. Like, you're kind of discrediting yourself here.
They paved it over a couple days later, and then you get Erica behind all the razzle dazzle, and she's really quick to forgive the alleged shooter, which technically says that because I forgive him, but that you can't forgive Candace Owens for having an opinion or asking questions, and they mock people by saying,
"Oh no, whoopsie." What was I doing? Let's get back to where we were at. Apologies.
Off the bat. I mean, I've killed people closer than I saw the camera, and I've never seen a shirt move like that. That looks like an explosion to me. Just the fact that no one started doing first aid to Charlie Kirk, they were more concerned about getting SIM cards out of cameras, removing cameras, and then.
Yeah, so they addressing the part that nobody had performed first aid on him. Like he had, what was visible in the video is that he had a massive wound with a lot of blood pouring out. Like, what happens if you start somebody's heart when there's a massive amount of blood pouring out and somebody's hemorrhaging a whole lot of blood? More blood starts pouring out. So that's like, that actually backs up that's like why you would want to immediately take him to the hospital as soon as possible, rather than trying to restart his heart, which is going to cause him to immediately lose more blood. This guy's an idiot. You shoot ballistic gel wrapped in a shirt and reacts to the impact just like Charlie did. Yeah, I think Andrew's actually right here. Like, I don't think this guy's an idiot. Like, I've heard him speak before. He seems like a pretty with it. And generally, I don't know what like branch of the military he's actually with, but like generally these guys are pretty clever operators. But yeah, I think he's just like making assumptions off incomplete information here. I think he hasn't actually looked into it directly. He's just heard other people say things, and it's like, that's not right. And he's like making assumptions based off that.
Getting him off the X somehow. They're even a lot concerned for his life. It seemed like just clean it up. And then, I mean, I've been told they paved it over a couple days later. And then you get Erica Kirk behind all the razzle dazzle. And she's really to forgive these. Technically, he said that was him, because I would can for Candace Owens for having an opinion or asking questions. And they mock people by saying, oh, I'm just asking questions. Yeah, I'm a SEAL Team 6 sniper. I'm asking a lot of questions and answer them.
And you're able to.
He's actually said very little about the explosive there. So
I'm just saying he said he's shot people up close, and he's never seen a shirt move like that, and it looked to him like an explosive. That's what he just said.
But when I play that video at full speed, I can't see a shirt moving. I can only see a shirt moving when we slow it way down. So if I'm in real time, I'm just assuming this, right? I mean, if I was in real time and I was in like a close quarters combat, you kill somebody situation, and I shot them, would you even see the shirt move?
Well, I just feel like 5 minutes ago you were arguing that it was because the bullet carried air. Now you're saying you don't see the shirt move at all.
Yeah, but if you slow it down,
logical sense.
The disbursement of air, that's where you're going to see it, right? It's going to be very quick, very, 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 very fast.
Yeah,
and then
that's not what I saw, and clearly it's not what he saw, and he thinks that there could be an explosive. So I'm just saying to you, when people disagree with you,
you're saying that's not what I saw, but she only saw that because she slowed down the footage. If you didn't slow down the footage, you wouldn't have seen that. So it's like his point is actually completely valid.
Your opinion's not a fact. That's all.
I understand.
I think that's a good place for us to, if we have another break, and then we can keep answering your questions.
Yeah, I mean, I think, sounds good.
Perfect. We'll do a quick 3.5-minute ad break. We'll be back for the last segment.
Cool.
All right, thank you.
When we set out to create a shoe that blends comfort, function, and luxury,
all right,
we had the choice to make it fast.
As
we had the choice to make it cheap.
As it is to hear about these shoes. Sorry, PBD. It's not quite what we're here for. I don't know that guy. If he's not an idiot, he's another line grifter. I think he was one of the. He was part of. Yeah, you said SEAL Team 6. I think he was one of the guys that like shot Osama bin Laden. So like he used to be like real good.
All right, fantastic. So Andrew, if you want to go with your last couple thoughts.
Yeah, so I just have two more clips to play.
Okay.
Right, and then we can do final thoughts. I'm guessing. I feel like we got where we were trying to go, or at least for the most part. So the two other clips, I do want to play the Twigs clip. That one is important to me, the Twigs DNA clip.
Yeah.
And they're going to pull it up just to have you respond
to
it.
Well, you don't have to play it, because like if you're saying that when I initially watched it, I thought that Lance Twigs' DNA, like he was directly responding to that, because the testimony was a bit confusing. They started by saying that they were going to like explaining how they got the samples, and they said Lance, Matt, and Amber Robinson, how they got their DNA samples. And then they started speaking about the gun and said, multiple prints were found on them. And then they moved and they said Lance Twigs' DNA was found on the screwdriver. When I went back and rewatched it, I realized, well, they haven't officially said that Lance or Amber are on the gun. So I think I've already conceded that we don't know that. So I think but if you want to play the clip,
this is directly you saying it is on the gun. Twigs' DNA
I'm saying
is
that
on
I
the
feel
gun.
like I've already said to you, like I've made that concession, but just because.
Whatever he used to be, he became a professional BS artist. I mean, yeah, based on that clip, yeah, I'd absolutely agree. Absolutely agree.
Clear. Whenever I make a mistake, I just correct it. So that's why when you were asking me 3 times, I've already said we don't know yet, and I've corrected that mistake. So if the purpose of you showing this is to demonstrate that Candace makes mistakes sometimes when she's...
I mean, I completely disagree. Like, there have been a few occasions where she's addressed the mistake she's made, but most of the time she just moves on to her next theory without really addressing it either. Like, as far as I'm aware, she took the Egyptian planes whole spreadsheet or whatever she had because it was inaccurate and like was proved to be incorrect. And she's like, oh yeah, no, it's still the key to everything. There was a mistake there, but I'm just going to clarify it, and it's coming back up on my website, which she never came back to.
Taking in a lot of information, and she's reading through legal documents, and she's trying to remember 9-hour testimony.
It's to demonstrate something else. It is, in fact, the case. We're all going to make mistakes.
Yeah.
I'm going to make mistakes.
And I've already
You're going to make mistakes in the case.
Yeah.
But in this case, you were very adamant that his DNA was on the gun itself.
Yeah. So I'm just saying that it's not ruled out. We know that there's 5+ prints. I've said this so many times. I had to rewatch the testimony again. It's like 9 hours a day. It got very scientific when they were speaking about this. And I think I wrongly extrapolated that they meant all 3 of them were on the prints when the only person they officially named was Matt Robinson. So we don't know yet if Lance Twiggs has his DNA on the prints, DNA on the gun officially just yet.
Okay.
I've already conceded that.
Sure.
So
that's fine. And then the last one is one with Erica Kirk.
Sure. This is like the Erica Kirk. All right, Erica, you could just sit down with me, Erica, but we could do it this way.
Remember, she did sit down with you, and you still went on to accuse her of being involved in her husband's murder. Oh no, sorry, not her murder, just the cover up of the murder. It's like, okay, covering up a crime is still like you would still be charged with a crime for that. It's still a criminal act.
It's back to a previous claim that you made.
Yeah, sure.
Bringing it up.
Straight to jail, straight to jail. For questioning, at least, Erica. I don't care who's mad. I really do not care who wants to be upset after this episode. Really, you will be wasting your breath. You can spend $1 billion on influencers because this is all becoming increasingly inexplicable. You are asking me to be an idiot, actually, and I cannot do that for you. Someone once commented beneath this show that if the situations were reversed and there were this many verifiable lies.
So straight to jail?
Yeah, so that's the show intro, and straight to jail is a monopoly term.
Okay.
Like, you know.
So do not pass go.
Yeah.
Do not collect $200.
Yes, it's obviously tongue in cheek.
What about other times when you've announced on your show that she should be dragged into police station for questioning? It's like,
and then we explain that actually I think that she should be brought in for questioning because of inconsistencies. So this is the exact episode when I started to think that she should be sat down and questioned. And I still believe that. I still hold the perspective that Erica should be sat down and she should be properly questioned.
Do you know that she has
the whole point?
No, actually. That would be a great thing for the spokesperson of Turning Point USA to say that she's already
why do they,
I mean, my guess would be she hasn't because they returned everything to her. Yeah. But
why do they owe you that though? Why
they don't owe me anything. That's my show you're watching. Just, the clips that you're pulling are from my show. So if I want to say something on my show, I can say that. I didn't say they owe me something. I don't think that's ever, unless you have another clip. But if you say like you need to be sat down for questioning and you don't even know if they haven't been. That's strange, right? Do you know if they have been?
No, I have no idea.
So you're just saying, what if they haven't been?
Yeah, if your entire
just kind of filling the air
if your entire thing is
junk.
No, it's not junk. if the query is why is it that Erica Kirk's not being sat down for questioning, but you have absolutely no knowledge whether or not she's been sat down for questioning or not. What that does is it creates an innuendo. It creates an inference. It creates out to the ethos that this should be happening because something's wrong here when you actually don't have the knowledge that anything's wrong at all.
I just think that my opinion is that she should be sat down and questioned.
But you're not sure if she hasn't been.
Yeah, and you're not sure if she has been either. So, like I said, I feel like now you're just kind of filling the air with nonsense. Because Turning Point's like, we want to make sure that you go in there and you defend.
But hold on. Isn't it filling the air with nonsense to say that somebody should be sat down for questioning if you don't know whether or not they have been sat down for questioning? That's also just filling the air with nonsense, which is something that you seem to be doing a whole lot of.
Erica, and I have to say, I don't think you've done an extraordinary job at that.
But I'm not here to defend Erica. The thing is, though, is like...
that since 4 out of 5 of the clips that you had on the ready when we asked you guys ahead of time. I mean, I want to just assert how professionally we have dealt with this debate. As you can see, we have not planned any gotcha clips for Andrew. I expressed to him that what we were going to do was just to use people for...
I would just like to assert how wonderful I have been doing at this entire covering live reaction to the Candace Owens and Andrew Wilson debate. And if you agree so, I suggest you hit like. And I can say that with full confidence. Like, what are we doing? But anyway, you should absolutely like and subscribe. I appreciate it, guys.
For fact checks, and because I might not remember something, or I do remember something and you're saying no, and that is what I think will register to people as very fair. We did not take out of context clips of Andrew to try to
expressly said that I was going to bring claims.
We did not. Right? No, when you said you were going to bring claims that you want me to speak to, you didn't say I intend on sitting you down with out of contexted clips to which we said to you before in an email.
But hold on. there's been many times where people have claimed that Candace said something and she's no, I haven't, and then it brings up later on a clip where she absolutely did say the thing that she just denied. So it's absolutely fair for Andrew to bring clips where she said the things that he's referring to, because otherwise she's just going to deny that she said it.
An email, any clips that you want to share with us, send it over. Let's assert a debate claim so that we can both be ready to respond to it. That's
not really what happened.
Well, what didn't happen?
The way that you're framing the exchange, that's not actually what happened. We were negotiating. It is true. We negotiated out the claim itself, right? Which one's going to take which position. I wanted to make sure that I had at least an hour and a half on mine, and you got the time for yours to question me. We did. We got through your hour and a half on mine, roughly an hour and a half now on mine. That's basically how this went.
But in the beginning, I did not take an hour and a half to just pull out of context lists with Andrew. I actually debated the substance of what's going on in this trial and this hearing. And I do think that you fell short of that.
There's nothing hang on.
And
there's nothing here except holding you to account for your claims.
Yes or no. Well, we were supposed to be debating the case and whether or not there was overwhelming evidence.
These are your claims about the case.
No, you then admitted that now you're getting into another sphere and you want to talk about the transcendentals and things that I've said.
We got through,
and 4 out of 5 of your clips are about Erica Kirk. So the general perception
I don't think 4 out of 5 even
is your turning points horse.
Oh,
I think quite a few of them were. Was there 3 Ericas or 4?
So you're just making stuff up?
Can we get a count of how many were about Erica? I feel like
it was 3.
3. Okay.
Yeah,
3. I said 4.
But those are extraordinary claims, which is why you're asking about them,
well,
right?
Okay. But the point being is now you're veering into trying to get me to defend my opinions, and then you completely shirk responsibility when I point out.
But hold on. He's just like, three claims. She did 4. She was wrong. So there were 3 claims. And she's like, and you're just trying to score points here. None of those claims have you really adequately addressed. All of those responses to that are just, it's my opinion. I'm allowed to think that. You can't control how I think.
Out yours.
What do we got here? Candace thinks, hold on, what do we got? Candace spends as much time as she can talking about logistics of the debate instead of the subject of the debate. Yeah, it's because she doesn't have good answers to the questions. She cannot rationally answer a question that makes any sense. So she's just trying to deflect. She's just trying to run off. She's just trying to say, that, Andrew's being disingenuous for asking questions. So she doesn't actually have to answer the question.
No, they're not claims. When you tweet claims. Erica is too retarded, you go, that's just whatever. And then you move on.
That's a claim and I'm responsible for the claim.
Well, earlier when I brought it up, you said that it was tongue in cheek.
Yes, sure. That's me responding to your criticism of the claim. That's all I'm doing here.
I was interested and
I'm happy to get into also the Patsy stuff now if you'd like to.
Well, your team has one more clip they want to play from 7 days ago. They got one more clip.
We were getting into the Patsy stuff and you stopped it and I was explaining to you. Oh, they have one more clip. Okay, let's go.
They want to hit the minimum of 4 clips you were saying with Erica. So
100%.
This is absurd.
It's absurd for them to play clips.
And this is the one you're saying from 7 days ago.
And ask me to, back it up. Absolutely absurd.
Okay. While they're looking for that, do you want to continue?
Yeah. I mean, can I ask a question? I know it's been, or can I ask a question? Or are we
not really? I'm just going to, we're going to hold to the actual contract itself.
The contract does not say that you are allowed to just question me without me being able to respond to you.
I've never said you can't
or have
respond.
A conversation.
You've been able to respond to every question I've asked you. And by the way, the other thing is
let's have it your way. I want it to look like we've done everything Andrew wanted to, so that people can fairly assess the situation. So you have it your way. I will not ask a question.
Totally fair with me.
So are you good with her asking a question or no?
He said no.
Waiting for the clip.
Okay. So you want to wait for the clip first. Okay. You guys have it in the back? Okay, beautiful.
Petra Bet David has just been manspreading the entire
debate. You told me they had it, so
that's what I heard. Okay,
come on, guys.
Did this crime? Okay, because Lance Twiggs has his DNA on the towel. It's fine. Lance Twiggs has his DNA on the rifle. And to be clear, Lance Twiggs' DNA was not as degraded as Tyler Robinson's DNA was on Tyler's rifle. It's Tyler's rifle.
No, you also said, it's not as degraded on the rifle.
Yeah, because I thought he was one of the things. But I've already, that's what I mean when I say that. It just seems like you're not actually here trying to engage, because even before you got to this, and I knew that you had some secret clip planned, I said to you, when I rewatched the testimony, I realized that they didn't explicitly say Lance Twiggs. They said 5 other profiles were on it, and that his was the most degraded. So I hope your team feels fulfilled in playing that. Is there any more? I'm happy to play every clip that he has on the ready. Anybody?
You said you had some new evidence at the beginning of the.
Oh yeah, we should show that text message that you read, just because I think that's important for the public. You shared it out of context.
I'll do it on my show. I'll share the text
so you're going to read it on my show, but not show it
Correct. I'll show it on my show, but that's what I'll do. I'll show it on my show.
Can I ask why?
Well, because I want to drip out the evidence. That's got to drip out that evidence, keep people coming back for the show, right?
I don't know if snark serves you so well.
I'm just saying, like, I'll release it there. That's my intention. But yeah, I'm fine with closings if you want to do closings.
Well, I also would just, if I may ask a question, is that permitted?
Go ahead.
Just so I also have clarity, since your basis has been evidentiary, you keep saying that you have evidence or like you are following evidence. Which one of the charges against, or all of them, do you think Tyler Robinson is guilty of?
The specific charge?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what I think is that Tyler Robinson shot Charlie Kirk.
Yeah, but of the 7 charges that he's being charged.
Yeah. Can we list them real quick? I'll tell you exactly which ones. We'll pull them up.
Well, do you know any of the charges he's up for right now?
Of course, but I want to make sure that we have them listed.
Yeah, but like can you name one? Because my general perspective is that you don't actually care about this case. You're not following the case.
That's the question. You're just not following it enough.
It seems pretty like if you're going to engage and you're going to say the evidence is overwhelming that Tyler Robinson is guilty. I just think that you should. Like, can you tell me one?
Then let's do the counter. You can really. Yeah, this is a great gotcha.
No. You just got to ask me, play clips out of context, put me in the hot seat. So please just answer the question.
This is fair. Name all 7 since you've been following the case.
Okay, sure. You name one.
Yeah, you named all 7.
I'm happy to do that, but can you name one?
I think he's been charged with murder.
That's actually incorrect.
Okay, great. Now name all 7.
He doesn't even. This is like
name all 7.
And I
can you name all 7?
I can.
Then do it.
Sure. You don't have to
do it. No, do it. I'll count them. Go ahead.
You don't have to put your fingers up.
Okay, I'll name them.
Yeah, sure.
Name them.
The first charge is aggravated murder because that's what carries a death sentence in the state of Utah. No,
Next.
that's not. That is literally not murder.
Okay, it actually is though. That's the whole point. And I checked out. Somebody, a lawyer, did share this. He's like, no, it is actually accurate to say that he's charged with murder. Like, you can be charged with aggravated murder, be found guilty of murder, not aggravated murder. So it's like murder with a qualifier on there, but you can be charged with aggravated murder and just be found guilty of murder, not the aggravated murder. So like he is actually right in that there. Apparently she also gets one of these charges wrong, but I forget which one it was.
And so just for people, I don't have to do it in a time limit. There's nothing going on. And just to explain to people the difference of why that really matters and shows that he doesn't actually care about this at all is because aggravated murder, it's narrowly defined and because it carries a death sentence. I'm going to answer the question.
Okay,
You're just going to recognize that your strategy of thinking that people are intimidated when you try to put a time constraint doesn't work, and you'll be better the next time you debate someone.
I got it. Give me the other ones.
The more you cut me off, the longer I'll take. Do you want to just wait for me to finish of why that's a big difference so that people don't walk away?
No, I just want you to list the charges.
Yeah, I'm going to do that. You just don't get to pretend that there's a time constraint for me to do that.
Well, how long does it take you to list 7 charges?
Because I'm speaking. You just got to.
It sounds like you're just delaying it because you don't know them.
I know all 7 of them.
Then
and I'm going to say again, because you're going to get embarrassed. You don't have to rush this. I'm also showing an example of a very flawed debate strategy. I actually am under no time constraint.
I got one.
Great. The second charge is the felony discharge of a weapon. The next 2 charges.
So you think that Andrew doesn't care about the case because he didn't know that he was charged with the felony discharge of a weapon? He was actually right on one. He did know that he was charged with murder. Like, she was splitting hairs on there that he didn't know it was aggravated murder. But the felony discharge of a weapon, because he didn't know that charge, then he doesn't care that Charlie Kirk was murdered. Okay.
Charges are for obstruction of justice.
Okay.
The next 2 charges are for witness tampering. And
what's the specific charges though?
That is them. Obstruction of justice, of justice, witness tampering.
Okay, and there's no other specifics to them.
Well, I can tell you why he's being charged.
No, just the charges and then 7?
Yeah, see, the bad thing is when you try to be an a-hole and it doesn't work.
What's the 7th?
The last charge is violence in front of a minor.
Okay, got it. So then he's being charged with murder. You just say aggravated murder. That's the distinction. You just want to.
It's a massive. It's like you cannot say murder versus aggravated murder. This gets to the entire crux of why him being up for the death sentence. And I actually find the defense's filing about why this is not aggravated to be very compelling of why it's not aggravated murder. I actually think that the state was going to even try to pull this off. They should have charged him with just murder. And then I do also, again, want to stress to audiences that debate strategy of thinking that you have to speak faster or somebody puts your hand up and they try to pretend like it's some sport. I think he thinks it's a blood sport. It's not. It's about being right and being principled when you're engaging. And you can make mistakes.
It's about being right and principled. Well, the right and principled thing would be to do is if you're going to make a claim publicly about whether people are involved in a cover-up of a murder or the murder directly, that you should actually be able to present some evidence for that claim publicly, or you should shut the hell up. That would be the right and principled thing to do, Candace. But continue. Let's hear you. Moralizing on whether somebody doesn't know all the exact charges that he was charged.
time, but at least be genuine in pretending that you care about this case enough to know one of the 7 charges that are up against Tyler Robinson when you say the evidence is overwhelming that he's guilty. If you would like to move to final statements, I'm fine. I want to make sure Andrew has had the time that he has requested.
I think your team would like to pull up the 7 charges that he just asked you about. If you guys want to pull that up just to confirm the 7 you went through. Can you guys zoom in a little bit?
Aggravated murder, felony discharge of a firearm, obstruction of justice, which is counts 3 and 4, 5 and 6, tampering with a witness, and count 7
violent
offense in the presence of a minor.
Child.
Yeah. So 5, 6, tampering witness, 3rd-degree felony. Now, I did notice something I just was curious about. If I'm just wondering, when you pulled out your phone just before you asked that question, did somebody by chance text you that question?
You can check my phone.
I'm just curious.
No, you can absolutely not. I have not had one communication with a single person, not even my producers who are in there this whole time we were here. You want to check my phone? I'm happy to do it because you're just going to get double embarrassed. Where's my phone?
You want to see it?
I'm just...
And just for anybody, because I did see her going around, there's a moment where Andrew touches an earpiece on it, and I saw a clip where Patrick Bet-David actually addresses this, because there was a few people who thought that they had earpieces in, that maybe Candace was cheating, maybe Andrew was cheating. No, it wasn't anything like that. Like, they were earpieces handed out by Candace and her team. It was so that they could hear the clips being played. So there wasn't actually anything suspicious about the earpieces. They all had them. Patrick Bet-David had them. Candace had them. And Andrew had them. And then also, I think Rob Noor, who was one of the guys at the back trying to do the fact checking for Andrew, because somebody asked, is it possible that Candace was being fed information from somebody else? He said, hey, look, he was in the same room with her team. He goes, I can't. He goes, it's possible that somebody was somewhere else. He goes, but I have no reason to suspect that, so he goes, I believe that, she was in there, nobody was feeding her answers that he was able to tell. Although I have heard, I think it was Milo Yiannopoulos, has stated previously that he believed that when he did an interview with her, that she was being fed questions by somebody else. So it's not without, some justification for some suspicions there. But in this case, I have no reason to think that she was being fed answers.
Curious. Yeah.
You can literally do that. Here you go. PBD, you're the moderator.
Okay.
Take it.
Let's see
if anyone was texted at all during this debate.
All right.
About the violent charges or anything.
I'm looking through this. You give me permission.
You have full permission to go through my phone. I don't need to cheat.
So the last one has nothing to do with it. It's just a compliment.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't even read my text messages.
That's a compliment.
He's reading them.
You're okay. You'll give me permission.
Yes.
I'm just going to read 3 of them to 1132, because after that, I don't.
That doesn't mean Candace's earpiece couldn't get a second feed. Yeah, absolutely. It's possible. I will agree that it's possible. I just say, like, it's like, I haven't seen any evidence to suggest that she was. So I'm just happy to accept that she's, giving her answers her own intelligence, or, from memory or whatever she's going off. So I think this is Candace, what we're seeing here in this debate. So, by the way, like, her answers are splitting hairs. She's not really giving anything that's groundbreaking. She's just, a lot of it's, I think, I feel, so it is vibes, really. So yeah, I think we're just seeing Candace on display here. But I do agree, it is possible.
Don't need to read it.
Any other text? Could have been Telegram, could have been something.
All I have is Signal. You can check that too. I only have Signal. Telegram I used in Russia, and that was a download.
I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, I don't need to I deeply care about this case. I don't need to pretend to know stuff that I don't know.
I have a lot of questions about her trip.
My other question is about steakhouse.
It's for another time.
You just said that you were done asking all your questions.
So nothing there.
Do you have the steakhouse receipts? My question.
I have said several times that I have never said I have the receipt for the steakhouse. I have said the person who's working on that story is going to be forthcoming with the receipt, and that was what I was responding to. And he then drops the receipt. He redacted elements of it, and I said, "Stay tuned. He's the one working on that story."
Okay, so you haven't actually confirmed that Robinson was at that steakhouse.
All I did, as I said earlier in this conversation, was I spoke to the owner when I broke that story.
I think she's got a team in the background.
The owner understood what had happened, and that there was a receipt.
Fact checks and stuff.
That's it. That's the extent of what I shared is what happened.
Okay, so to be clear, there's no receipt.
I just said the opposite. I said there is.
Well, you don't have a copy of the receipt.
The receipt was published online.
Yeah, right. With blurred out.
The person working on this story that blurred that out is what I was referring to when I said stay tuned and keep following his stuff, because he went to go do what I hadn't done, which was he interviewed the actual server.
So there's no evidence that Tyler was at that steakhouse?
I would say the receipt with his debit card number, it would be some hard evidence if that
I agree with that.
Yeah, so that's it. But you're questioning me.
But is there, as of right now...
He paid. If you're asking me, did he pay with a credit or debit card? The answer is yes.
No. Is there proof that was actually his debit card that he paid with?
I think you should follow the person that is...
The answer is
no. The reason I'm asking you is because you always include it in your timeline. that he traveled to the steakhouse.
Yeah, we've been building a timeline with things that we feel are
but is there any actual
Utah 1102
evidence?
approved. I think speaking to the owner, knowing that there's a receipt, seeing the receipt is good enough to put on our timeline.
But the receipt itself, the question I always had about it is, couldn't you just call the merchant? Like if I've ever had a merchant account, I just call the merchant account processor and say, what's the name on this?
Yeah, I would stay tuned. I feel that having spoken to the owner, that the evidence is compelling enough to put onto my personal timeline of what took place on that day. That's where it's going to stay. And if it gets debunked, I'm happy to take it off. If that's what you mean, that's how an investigation works. Like I said, I did more than enough. It would definitely pass the test by the Utah 1102 rule, for sure, for certain.
To be submitted as hearsay.
Beyond that, because they didn't even have receipts. They were like, Bob told me this.
But the question is, the receipt itself, it has not been verified to have been Tyler Robinson's.
I just want to say you're holding me to a higher standard than you are.
I'm not even holding you. I'm just asking specifically.
Yeah, I've been very forthcoming. I told exactly what happened. I spoke to the owner. I got the tip, and
so should that be added in an official timeline that
it's in my timeline. It's my show, and we can add and subtract what we want, and we do. If we get something wrong,
So it's in her timeline. She can add and subtract if they want. So another thing for Candace supporters, just accept the fact that her timeline is not things that have been verified at all whatsoever. So, like, it's okay for her to criticize the defense, the prosecutors and any evidence that they produce, just so long as you understand, if you're going off the information that she's presenting and her timeline, none of that has been verified. It's her timeline. She just puts there what she thinks it's what works. On her own, as in no secret feed. That's basically what I think. I don't think there was any secret feed.
I'm not sure, but I'm asking, should you include a thing that you know hasn't actually been verified to be Tyler Robinson's?
Yes, you should. If we're trying to build a timeline, you should. Yeah.
You don't think that falls under...
And then you should remove it if someone somehow debunks it. But I think that there is very strong evidence that is where he was, and that
What's the strong evidence? Just the two people who said that they saw him?
I'm actually all good with I feel like I've sufficiently answered your question about how I got the information, what happened next, with the next stage of this investigation being somebody accessing knowing what his debit card was and confirming it. Yes. And I do believe that will happen. If it does not happen and it gets debunked, I'll remove it from my personal timeline that I share on my show.
That officer, the first officer that was up on the roof, do you remember his name?
Officer Bagley.
Yeah. What was his first name?
Christopher.
When Christopher got up on the roof, you talk a lot about how his camera died.
Well, he talked a lot about that during the preliminary hearing.
Died.
Yeah.
Do you think that he planted that screwdriver up there?
No.
Who do you think planted it?
If we're just going on am I allowed to have an opinion?
Of course.
At this stage, I would say that I don't buy his assertion on the stand that he didn't check to see if anybody went onto the rooftop before he got up there. I do think that it's possible. It's at least plausible that the screwdriver was planted. I don't believe him. What I can say strongly is that his cam died at just the right time. His body cam died at just the right time. I think that, as you were just grilling me about whether or not I had got the merchant receipt for a debit card, that kind of makes it difficult that we just have to sort of trust that a screwdriver was found and we don't have any should be evidence of a police body cam. But like I said, you accept that stuff and then are like, did you call the merchant and get, like, it just seems like you
I'm not adding,
hold, like I said, you hold the prosecution to a higher standard than you do to people.
I'm not adding unconfirmed evidence to an official timeline that I'm putting out either.
What do you mean official timeline? This is my timeline. I made it at home.
So then it would be official to your show?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay, great. So then your official timeline, Candace Owens' official timeline, includes a steakhouse stop that has not actually been confirmed at all.
Well, yeah, it hasn't even been discussed by the prosecution. So it's not like you're debunking that it happened.
Well, there's no evidence for it. There's no good evidence for it at all. There's no camera there. And the steakhouse receipt itself has never been confirmed to be Tyler Robinson's.
I'm assuming this is just like a talking.
I think I said this the other night, but I have seen since then, there's been statements from the owner of the steakhouse who said, contrary to whatever was being reported, we don't actually have any evidence that that Tyler Robinson dined at our restaurant. So I think they're even going away. I don't know who started that initially, but they're now distancing themselves from that statement at all.
Point they gave you and you got to like keep pushing this, or like
I've been following it very closely on X.
The receipt you weren't even following the charges of Tyler Robinson, but you really wanted to know. I've been following it very closely on X.
Wait,
I'm calling owners of steakhouses and having a conversation. You're following combo on X.
I literally followed the entire trial or the preliminary live. I was live with an attorney. We covered all of it. You think because I have a momentary or lapse where I'm like, oh, it's murder? No, it's aggravated murder. Come on.
You didn't know any of the charges.
That's splitting hairs.
That's not it means you didn't follow the preliminary hearing at all.
No, it doesn't mean that at all.
You don't know any of the charges that are
ridiculous.
against him when this is like getting literally to the crux, aggravated murder versus murder.
It's
a death sentence.
And not only that, let's point this out. One of the major things here is that this is your official timeline.
It's mine.
Yes.
They've got a video of the shooter with a disassembled rifle in his pants. He's going to need a screwdriver to put the stock back on. Yeah, I do absolutely agree. However, according to Candace and her followers, that nobody walked up there with a disassembled rifle in his pants. So therefore, the whoever went up there, obviously a member of some military, maybe French, maybe Israeli, maybe CIA, who was on that roof, did not put a rifle together, therefore did not have a screwdriver, therefore any screwdriver must have been planted. That's the kind of logic that they jump to. But okay. And also I think because somebody said once at the start of the investigation, I think somebody I don't know who it was, misspoke and said that the rifle was assembled and disassembled, when obviously it wasn't disassembled. That wasn't actually true. I think it was just one statement once that was incorrect, and then they ran with that and said, "Oh no, they're lying about it. There was no way that rifle was taken apart." That became a whole thing as well. So you're never allowed to misspeak.
Who else could it be? Who else? It would be Candace Owens Debate.
I just don't know what his issue is with my timeline.
What's your issue with that?
Well, so the issue is that the entirety of the evidence revolves around two people who claim that he was there and supposedly a receipt. There's supposedly a receipt where Tyler Robinson paid for his steak and his soft drink. No alcohol, right? No alcohol, right? You know nothing about the case. But anyway, this particular receipt, they could have called the merchant account, confirmed it, this type of thing. To date, this receipt has only the blurred information on it that would actually give you the information to confirm whose receipt it is. We have to date, nobody has confirmed that this was actually Tyler Robinson's receipt. And yet inside of Candace Owens' timeline, which she states over and over again, when she says, this is the longest 13 hours, this is 13 and a half hours, the requirement for about roughly 5.5 or 6 hours of that is that he went to the steakhouse. And that's not been confirmed at all. Not even a little bit.
I feel like saying that.
I think the most likely explanation here is that, people in the surrounding area are like, oh my gosh, there's been this assassination, and there's a shooter on the run, on the hunt for somebody. And so probably just some guy who was probably a similar build to Tyler Robinson, similar size, maybe even the similar age, walked into a steakhouse and ordered a meal, and he was a bit quiet, and people were like, because they're already on the prop that, oh, there's a young man on the run or whatever, that this guy stood out to them, and they think, this could have been him. And I think that's generally how it started, and most likely it was investigated. Most likely it was proved to be incorrect. This is not the person. I wouldn't be surprised if the FBI know exactly who it was, but they're not going to make that. They're not going to dock somebody and make that information public. And they were like, yeah, no, it's not. We can move on. We can, I think that's, and this is just a few assumptions here, and I'm theorizing here, but I'm just saying that if the restaurant owner is coming out and saying that they don't believe it, I think it's because they've actually have spoken to the police, and the police have explained why they're ruling this one out.
I spoke to the owner of the steakhouse is me, not just being on X looking at opinions, but actually doing the legwork. And that's why, like I said, if you think this builds up a rapport with your audience and makes you seem like a serious person, we don't have to keep belaboring the point here. I feel like I've demonstrated that I did as much as I could to confirm this. When it came in, I spoke to the owner of the restaurant, obviously took down everything he said, noted that there was in fact a receipt that he pulled. That receipt that was published is real. A debit card and a credit card was used. If for some reason...
It's a restaurant. I guarantee you every night that they're open, there's going to be food purchases, there's going to be a debit card used, and there's going to be a receipt issued. You're not presenting anything groundbreaking here. It's something that happens every night a restaurant's going to be open. I think it's more likely that Tyler Robinson is eating tofu than steak anyway. Well, this is proof. Tofu and apparently Chick-fil-A. Which I'm in New Zealand, we don't have that here, but I've heard it's fantastic. So, maybe one day
somebody misidentified something down the line, or we find out it's a different Tyler Robinson. I'm happy to remove it from my timeline. But for right now, I think that there's enough under the Utah 1102 rule for me to keep it there. I don't really think we need to keep going into circles about this receipt. It's my timeline.
She keeps going about the Utah 1102 rule. It's like she tries to claim that everything that presented at the pre-trial was hearsay, which is not correct. It's just that hearsay is allowed to be considered in a pre-trial. Not that everything presented was hearsay, which she likes to say, but then she's like, that's an unacceptable standard. However, everything in my podcast is hearsay, and I'm allowed it to be. It's like it's a ridiculous. It's like if you really were offended at that statement, then you could like go above and beyond and actually present evidence instead of just hearsay. She narrowed it down to everybody. Yeah, absolutely. Everybody except for Tyler Robinson. She's really, really confident that it's not Tyler Robinson.
I don't know why the 1102 rule would apply here for your
because you will constantly cite things that are said in that courtroom that have less evidentiary support than me contacting and speaking with the
That's literally hearsay. That she doesn't have any. She's got a picture of receipt. She's got no link. She's got actually no link from that receipt to Tyler Robinson to date. So, like, it's hearsay.
The owner of the restaurant. It's not like I dreamed it, as to use your expression. So it's in my timeline, and I'm going to keep it there. If that's
sure,
cool.
You can keep whatever you want there. I'm just saying that there's no evidence he was ever there.
Okay, thank you.
No hard evidence anyway. Yeah, I'm fine with closing.
Okay, so the last thing we're going to do before we go into ad break, right after this, will be final thoughts. I'll be asking both of you if anything on your opinion, thoughts changed on the case, and then we'll finish it up from there. So with that being said, a 3.5 minute break, and then we'll come back for final thoughts. When we set out to create a shoe that blends comfort.
Okay, I am probably going to give it a rest of the effort tonight, guys. It's getting late for me, and I don't think there was anything really too much in their closing statements that I really wanted to address. So yeah, look, I thought this was good. Actually, watching it back, I will be honest, I was a little bit disappointed in Andrew's performance on this one. I think he rated himself a 7 out of 10, somewhere around there, and I would have, first time I watched this, I would have even really rated it lower. I didn't do, but looking back on it, I like watching it a second time, although I would have absolutely liked to see him push harder, absolutely. I think he did a really fantastic job. I think he really did, just chip away. I don't think he would have pushed the needle. I really wanted to see the needle pushed against, against some of these wild theories that she pushed, and I think in a lot of ways it comes across more like a nudge. But if you actually address what she admitted through there, it's just she admits the whole way through that she has no evidence for anything she's backing up, anything she's presenting out there. So, Candace Owens supporters, if you want to believe her, that's fine. Okay, you're entitled to your opinions, but just to be clear, you are basing your opinions on a woman who has no evidence to back up her theories. She is just pushing theories with zero evidence so far. And whenever push comes to shove, her evidence is, I've got an unnamed source that I can't present to you, or I just feel that this makes more sense. Okay, well, that's really not enough to convince me, and somehow I think it's not going to be enough to convince 12 jurors of Tyler Robinson's peers. But anyway, that's my thoughts. Please, by all means, let me know in the comments what's yours. Thank you very much to the guys in the chat who stopped by and said something. Please leave a like if you would consider following. It really means a lot to the channel, and we will be back again soon. So yeah, thank you very much, guys, and have a fantastic night. I am going to try and close the stream off without too many mistakes here. So let's see how we go. We've got one more comment. We've got to address the last comment. I love seeing some comments in here. So thank you very much to everybody who left a comment here. Wilson was fighting an uphill battle. You can't prove a negative. Yeah, that's true. And also, it's a standard that you would never she always presents absence of evidence as evidence, and they're like, well, that's an impossible standard as well. But yeah. But no, thank you very much for checking out, guys. We'll be back again soon. Cheers. There we go.